Another thing is delivery. Now, vaccines we always think as an injectable. Now there are many technologies which are being developed in the form of patches. So especially for children, you need, the needle is a very painful thing, and also the needle uses a lot of plastic. So now microarray patches are all being developed, which help in delivery. So we also are developing patches for our measles rubella vaccine. Also we are trying out for the hepatitis B vaccine. Another thing is about thermostability. Maintaining a cold chain, also supplying vaccines through the cold chain is a very, very expensive affair. So quite a lot of effort is also going on trying to make vaccines which are much more thermostable. So these are all areas which we are developing, and of course in India or in any developing country, while you address the science part, always you should make in mind that it has to be accessible and also affordable. And we have been here in Hyderabad, our first manufacturing plant started in 1982 in Gachibowli. And later we also have two plants now in the Genome Valley Biotech Park. The first one started in 2012. And now we are establishing another plant spending about 700 crores, which will be mainly for animal vaccines, for both for India and also for outside.
Thank you, Dr. Anand Kumar. Just wanted to kind of transition into, there is another big expectation in terms of sustainability, digital integration, because all these are becoming expectations from the global regulatory agencies. On one side, we are navigating foray into complex products and complex biotechnology. In the context of Indian immunologicals, how are you kind of transitioning the manufacturing into a more sustainable manufacturing? Your quick views on that would be very helpful.
So we are a very socially conscious organization. We have tried to balance as much as possible between profits and social good. We have, caught on to this One Health concept many decades ago. Today, One Health is being widely talked about, but IL has been doing this One Health because we are making both animal and human vaccines, and we significantly contribute to the health of both. The third element in all this is the environment. See, any manufacturing activity will cause some amount of harm to the environment that we live in. So it's all about how do we minimize that so that we leave this planet in a state where our future generation can live, in a very, very happy manner. So we at IL have undertaken many initiatives which will reduce our dependence on fossil fuel. For example, earlier days we used to use high-speed diesel for all our generators and boilers, but now significantly for our boilers we switched over to natural gases and LPG or CNG. Similarly, we have solar installations wherever possible. And all our manufacturing plants are zero liquid discharge. That means we don't leave anything into the open. So we recycle and reuse nearly 30 to 35% of the water in our manufacturing plants in such a manner that our consumption also is significantly reduced, because you have to be very, very cautious about the power and water utilization. Plus, we have automated a lot of our manufacturing in such a manner that we can make more and more by using very less resources. So automation did give about 20 to 25% increase in yield. So thereby we are able to use very little resources. And also, like any other organization which is very, very active in the space of quality, all the systems that we implement ensures that all the waste is reduced to a significant level. So many, many objectives of this nature, and also as a part of our CSR activities, we significantly contribute in the space of providing biogas units to many, many households. So there also we address the environment aspects this way.
Thank you, Dr. Anand Kumar. In the remaining few minutes, maybe I'll try to request a quick view of Dr. Satyanarayana Chava. I know Laurus has always been a leader in absorbing new technologies, both at R&D to manufacturing. What kind of your thoughts on how we can, the ecosystem can support a transition into greener manufacturing, and also your thoughts on what policy would be kind of enabling this transition in a very effective way? Because at the end of the day, we'll have to balance sustainability and affordability together.
See, In my opinion, to become competitive in the small molecule manufacturing, I always feel use of flow chemistry, continuous manufacturing, and use of biocatalysis in the small molecule manufacturing will put the country in the forefront. See, if you look at everybody talks about sustainability, if you have to become a sustainable company and put a sustainable product, it has to be cheaper, it has to be cleaner, it has to be greener, it has to be safer. That means you have to make your processes cleaner, greener, and safer, and also cheaper. If you say, I'm a sustainable company, sustainable product, but pay me 20% more, nobody is going to pay. So, for you to become competitive, you have to embrace all these technologies, use biology wherever is feasible, use continuous manufacturing wherever is feasible. I think if you use these technologies, I think country will make good progress.
Moving on to Ms. Chigurupati. There is this transition of manufacturing to sustainability, and there is a lot about science-based targets initiative and looking into the carbon footprint, circularity. We know that Granules is making strategic moves in terms of, complying with these expectations. Can you please maybe highlight for all of us what is Granules doing and why?
And why? I think Dr. Tava just answered that. It's the need of the hour. But I think Granules has been one of the first companies that has declared its SBTi targets for net zero by 2050, which is very much in line with even Telangana's targets and the country's targets, and 42% reduction by 2030. Of carbon emissions. The second thing that we have done is we have also committed to a progressive shift to 100% renewable energy by 2032. We've also adopted a lot of green chemistry and, like Dr. Chava said, continuous processing, etc., into the most basic products and even the future value-added products that we are embarking upon right now. And on the G side of things, Pharma Patishala is one thing that we have really taken upon ourselves, and it's actually something that Chairman, it's very close to Chairman's heart, that will actually enable skill development to do all these things going forward. So in Pharma Patishala, we essentially hire children from rural areas, 16 to 17-year-old boys and girls. We educate them, we teach them industry-specific skills, then we give them employment in our company for 3 years and a diploma while all their costs are taken care of. So I think all these put together are a part of sustainability targets, ESG ratings, as you can imagine. And Granules has been amongst, we just got an EcoVadis rating about 6 months back, where we're in the 95th percentile and we have a gold rating, which only the top 5% of companies in the world have. So this is one area of focus that we have as a company. And I think it's very important for every company to adopt this.
I think you have made a very important point, because when we look into the adherence to Scope 1, Scope 2 and Scope 3 emissions, we're also trying to look at creation of an entire ecosystem and backward integration so that this becomes a preferred destination hub for all the global players. So a quick view, Dr. Madan Mohan Reddy, on how Aurobindo is really taking this transition forward and the leadership from, especially when we look at energy compliance and looking at the adoption of the greener practices. You have obviously taken by the entire fermentation game into the next level. Some insights along this context.
By 2047, sustainability will be the regulatory requirement, not a choice. All industry thinking to not only, there are two ways industry always work on that. One is for the benefit of the industry, other is that for the nature of that, whatever that sustainability requirement. As per Aurobindo concern, last couple of years, we are spending lot of time and energy on certain parameters where We are going, majority of the products we are working on the enzymatic routes. And we are also working especially the manufacturing. We are working on the continuous manufacturing so that we can minimize that wastages. Like I can give the example of that one of the product, like 6-APA. That is penicillin G to 6-APA is the one process. Before we used to do is a chemical reaction. Now it is an enzymatic reaction where water is the only one requirement. There is no any chemical involved in this. Enzyme and then water is the requirement. So today what Dr. Satyanarayana said rightly, China, they are all working on this purely, every product they are working towards that enzymatic routes. The reason is we can minimize this, all these solvents, all these chemicals. So every company is working in the direction. And also on the energy part, if you go and then see today, we are all working towards this solar systems where we are spending a lot of money on this, especially power is the second highest cost in our manufacturing after this raw materials. The utility cost is the highest cost in our manufacturing. Next is the manpower cost is the major. These three, effectively if you work, I think any industry will go in a very profitable way, you can see. Today, all organizations, they are constantly working on the AI technologies and then all automations, especially in the manufacturing area. So each and every portion we are making, it is not like that our objective is reducing manpower. How qualitatively you can deliver the product is the catch. If you don't have this, I don't think we can win this, and then we will be there in this, especially in the pharmaceutical business.
Thank you, Dr. Madan Mohan Reddy. I think we have got some really important insights, and if I look back into the Genome Valley, it's about having the right DNA and having the right building blocks which will code for the right RNA and eventually the protein. Before we conclude, we've also got some very important aspects of what would be the desirable policy-based recommendations and infrastructure creation. Sir, I would like to request, before we conclude, what message would you like to give to the global innovators as well as investors to consider Telangana as a long-term life sciences destination?
Yes, thanks for all the input given by the industry leaders over here. And in fact, all the global leaders and the leaders from India who are all here. And everybody knows over a period of time, Hyderabad and the state of Telangana has become the vaccine capital. I can't say thanks to COVID, but it is exhibited. When world required us, you all people were there, and Telangana proved its mettle. Thanks to everybody over here. And secondly, over the past 2 years, when we set the process of our governance, and our Chief Minister and our government, has reflected to the industry partners that all the policy initiatives by the earlier governments will be forwarded or pushed forward. And over the past 30 years, if you have seen, the industry ecosystem over here has proven that even though different ideological, political leaders exist on governance, our perspective, our focus will be to develop the industry and to see that the fruits of this industry will be shared among our people. And that's how, these 2 years too, we were very keen to enhance the policy initiatives, which shall be globally competitive, and we will rise to the global standards of our policy making. And this is how, the great excellent team what we have in the government, we could able to really get about 63,000 crores in just 2 years as investment from different global partners. And thanks to all the industry partners who have trust in us, who have accepted the leadership over here, and who would like to take the advantage of the ecosystem which is available over here. And everybody knows this, Hyderabad and this state of Telangana is home to 8 of the world's 10 pharma companies and about 2,000 life sciences firms. I wish to I wish to tell you that the firms all put together value about $100 billion over here. So my message to the prospective investor over here, whatever the great leaders on the days or off the days who you interact over a period of this day will reflect what is the great ecosystem available over here, what is the potential available over here, and what the nuances of the government is taking. And secondly, to mention, as to reacting to the industry leaders here on the days, when Satyagaru was mentioning about universities. So we are specifically trying to focus on the areas of the domain expertise universities and also the general universities, the common universities. And we have come up to all the people over here, the new initiative which our government has taken is to come up with a Young India Skills University to impart skills, only specifically to skills which are required by the industry. When we found that there is a gap between academia and the industry, so the gap has to be filled. How do we fill it? The classic example is when we have come up with the life sciences university, the skills university, and I would like to mention, it is totally industry driven. The industry captain, like Anand Mahindra, is the chairman. Government as such only facilitates the running and the governance of the university. And many industry partners, the captains have come to share the burden of teaching and training the students who come over there. And in terms of the life sciences and the pharma, I would like to mention when we have floated this initially, the first taker was Mr. Satish Reddy of Reddy Pharma, Reddy Labs. 2 batches have come out, and those people who are skilled, only specifics to the life sciences, they have been attracted mostly by the Dr. Reddy Labs, which is a win-win situation for them because they will be ready on the job, ready for the job on the day one. Likewise, we have sectoral training in this life sciences university, in this skill university. So when, our director was mentioning about to float a life sciences specific domain expertise university, we jumped into the idea, and skilling as such is a most important criteria for us, for our government too. And that's how we have come up with the life sciences university. So I wish to mention before all the global investors over here that please come and join us to build the world-class life sciences system. Telangana is a place where you should be there. With, all the people were just telling that we have the world-class infrastructure. And I'm not, selfish to say we have very, very proactive policy environment over here. And thanks to all young students and young employees who have the high quality talent here. And the spirit of the deep scientific capability is here in Hyderabad. And strong regulatory equipment is placed in Hyderabad. So these are all important aspects. When you come and partner with us, we will try to provide you all with us. We always see the global companies as a partner would be shaping their future and also they're shaping our state future. We would love to come see not just as an investors, please come and share our journey, share the dream what we have for 2047 and the vision of 2047 that looks ahead. We will definitely share the vision what we have interacted with the industry leaders, and we are coming up with a policy perspective. Sir, while taking the account of all the elders of the days who have been specifically mentioning about few things, when they've been mentioning about the frontier biology, about the flow chemistry or the biologics, or the gene therapy or synthetic biology. We are working absolutely, whatever the input what they have given is absolutely necessary to build that sort of a systems. Almost all the systems are in place. We will try to enhance and value add for it. And when Madan Mohan Reddy garu was mentioning about the quality power, we know that the power is most important raw material for the pharma and the life sciences industry. And that is the reason, after such a long time, if you have seen, we have come up with a new energy policy. This new energy policy will help industries to grow, will help industries to have access for the open access or to build their own systems of the energy building. We are also keenly stressing our point in building the green energy systems, and that's how the new energy policy is focusing on PSPs. Our new energy policy is focusing on the solar power, and new energy policies are mentioning about the power banking too. So these are the few key advantages what you have been mentioning about, sir, you are mentioning about the regulatory framework, how it should be. The regulatory framework as such, in all the 5 clusters, because I had been to Basel also. I've been trying to know the systems over there in the Basel too. The regulatory framework over there is too stringent because it is concerned about healthcare. As everybody is very conscious, all the industry leaders are also very conscious about the healthcare. So, in terms, what Mr. Madan Mohan Reddy are mentioning is to have a constant interaction between the industry and also with the regulatory framework holders and also with the policy makers. So, we would like to come up with an idea of having a regulatory flow auditors meeting with industry along with our policy makers, including me and my team. Every 6 months we will love to have that. This is the new initiative right now we are mentioning from here. And in terms of quality power or the land availability or the talent power, I always take pride in my talent pool and all. What Priyaji was mentioning about the green technologies, we are here for it. And what Anand Kumar was mentioning about the affordability, how you create, we take the conscious of it. Ultimately, I would like to tell to all the global investors over here and the partners who have sailed with us for over the past 30 to 40 years. Our mention is from pharma pillar. We have to grow as India's pharma's engine, where we will become the world's advanced sustainable manufacturing here. That is our future vision. And in terms of medtech, where the convergence of our pharma with the technology, because we are technology-driven state, we would love to see that the domain expertise like the med field, the bio field, converges with the tech and becomes from the vaccine leadership to the global epicenter for frontier technology centers in biologics and the therapy. And third thing what we are mentioning, Anandji, is the medtech pillar, where we would like to focus from India's integrated medtech hub into a global hub for intelligent device and the procreation center. We would like to come up as a pillar for that, and absolutely what the need of our is the innovation center. We would like to powerhouse this Hyderabad as a global innovation center for tomorrow, from hosting the world's top 10 pharma and also the major vaccine companies and becoming the global command circle of innovation. This is our vision in 2047, the vision document which will be released by our Chief Minister, Mr. Revanth Reddy. And with this hope, I could able to convince most of the global players to come and part and be parcel of our ecosystem. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for a truly inspiring sharing your vision for a very strategic and all the moves. And it was really a privilege to listen to some very important inputs that would become essential elements as we progress from today to 2047 in realizing the vision. On that note, I think it was a privilege to be part of the panel, and I thank all the panelists, esteemed members, and Honorable Minister for their valuable time.
Thank you so much, Minister Garu. Thank you, Dr. Srinivas Garu, and all our panelists for such a thoughtful and a forward-looking discussion. Before we conclude, I request Honorable Minister Garu to felicitate our panelists. We'll start with Dr. Chava, Dr. Satyanarayana Chava, Chairman, CEO, Laurus Labs. I request Minister Garu to felicitate our panelists here on stage. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Satyanarayana Chava, Chairman, CEO, Laurus Labs. Dr. Madan Mohan Reddy, Director, Aurobindo Pharma. Dr. Anand Kumar, Managing Director, IIL. Ms. Priyanka Chigurupati, Executive Director, Granules India Limited. Dr. Srinivas Oruganti, our moderator for this panel. Director, Dr. Reddy's Institute of Life Sciences. And now I request all of you to please step forward for a group photograph. And I request Sri Sanjay Kumar Garu and Sri Shakti Nagappa Garu, Director for Life Sciences and Pharma, Government of Telangana, to please join us on stage for a picture. Sri Sanjay Kumar Garu and Sri Shakti Nagappa Garu. Once again, thanking our panelists for joining us on stage for such a thoughtful discussion. On behalf of the organizers and everyone present here, we extend our heartfelt gratitude for your time, knowledge and your commitment to shaping Telangana's life sciences vision for 2047. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. It's time to move on to our next session of our panel discussion, and that's investing in inclusion, prospects in affordable housing. In just few minutes, we are about to begin the next panel discussion that is set for the day. By 9 chairs chahiye. 9. I request, I can see many of you all standing back there. So I request all of you to please take your seats, make yourself comfortable and engage yourself in such a wonderful discussions that's happening here since morning. Moving on to the next panel discussion, which carries the theme, investing in inclusion prospects in affordable housing. Our next session explores an issue at the heart of equitable development, affordable housing. As Telangana grows, the question becomes, how do we build spaces that are not only accessible and climate resilient, but also reflect dignity and community? We begin with our distinguished speakers who bring in their deep experience across sustainability, environmental planning and social infrastructure.
Depth. So may I request Ms. Kranti to present the mementos. These are also a special mementos, the Cheriala artwork and the Pochampalli shawls. Please put your hands together for all the speakers for giving us the insight on the heritage, creativity and the sustainable planning coming together to shape the vibrant destinations. Thank you so much to Jupalli Krishnarao Garu and also Srimati Surekha Garu. Thank you so much, ma'am. Our next session will start immediately. The shawls are having the geographical indicators with them that shows that they've been directly from the
I'd request Mr. Gautam Garu, Special Secretary Housing, to please join us on the dais. And now let me welcome our distinguished panelists who are here to join us in the summit in the panel discussion this morning. We'll start with Mr. Vasudevan Suresh Garu, former CMD, HUDCO. Mr. Vasudevan has served in HUDCO in various capacities for 23 plus years and has become the CMD of the HUDCO, during which HUDCO registered all-round growth in housing, infrastructure development and finances with techno-financial assistance and many others, retail finances as well. Let's welcome Mr. Vasudevan Suresh Garu on stage. May we have on stage Mr. Abhijit Shankar Ray, Senior Urban Specialist, World Bank. Mr. Abhijit Shankar Ray is a Senior Urban Development Specialist based out of World Bank's office in New Delhi, bringing 20 years of experience of working in the urban sector in and Southeast Asia. Very warm welcome to you, sir. May we also have on stage Dr. P.S.N. Rao, Dean and Professor of SPA, Delhi. Professor Dr. P.S.N. Rao is a very well-known urban planning, housing and real estate expert of India with 38 years of experience. Welcome, sir. May we also have on stage Mr. G. Rami Reddy Garu, President-elect CREDAI National. Mr. Rami Reddy Garu is an entrepreneur, philanthropist and current CMD of ARK Group. As a leader in his organization, the industry and community, he stands tall with an illustrious career of 34 plus years. A very warm welcome to you, sir. May I now invite Mr. Nandakishore Garu, MD, Ramke Estates and Farms Limited. A very warm welcome to Mr. Nandakishore Garu, MD, Ramke Estates and Farms Limited. May we also invite Mr. Ajitesh Garu, founder of ASBL. Mr. Ajitesh Korupolu, founder of ASBL. And now may I invite the moderator of this panel discussion this morning, Mr. Preetham Mehra, Senior Executive Director and Head, Government Practice, CBRE, India. Let me welcome Mr. Preetham Mehra, who is going to moderate this panel discussion this morning. Over to you, sir.
A very good afternoon to everybody in the hall. It is my pleasure and privilege to have such a distinguished panel along with the Honorable Minister for the Housing Department for the state of Telangana. So thank you so much for taking the time and being with us. It's also a pleasure to have Mr. Gautam, Special Secretary Housing, Government of Telangana on the dais with us. And of course, you already heard the profile of the panel speakers on stage. It has been a pleasure for us to have all of them here. A lot of them have flown down to Hyderabad to attend this specific event and to be part of this distinguished panel. Before we start the panel discussion, it is my pleasure to invite the Honorable Minister to share a few words and his vision for the Housing Department for the state of Telangana.
Good afternoon to all. It is a great privilege to address this important session on affordable housing policy for urban future, Telangana Model 2047. As part of the Telangana Raising 2047 Global Summit, today's discussion is the Art of Telangana Vision 2047 as prosperous, inclusive and human society where every family, regardless of income or background, has a safe, secure and dignified home. Historically, Telangana has always contributed for provision of housing towards all sections in the state. With our government constructing over 42 lakhs houses under old Indiramma scheme and now another 3.5 lakhs houses in progress under new Indiramma Illu scheme. Housing Board and Rajiv Sagraha have also contributed to over 1 lakh middle income houses. However, there is a huge gap between demand and supply. So, time has come to move beyond individual schemes and to formulate a comprehensive affordable housing policy that can guide our action till 2047. We are therefore working towards a Telangana Model 2047 where we aim to have a affordable housing policy with specific focus on needs in urban areas that will be balanced, financially visible, viable, socially inclusive, environmental responsible, technology driven, etc. The Telangana Affordable Housing Policy will be in line with the Telangana Raising 2047 vision with focuses on three major areas. Telangana core urban region focusing on some slums redevelopment, brownfield redevelopment, mixed housing, rental housing. In the peri-urban region, focusing on satellite, greenfield townships, integrated housing colonies with walk-to-work housing with strong consistency. In rest of the state region, focusing on development of small and medium townships, rental and worker housing, integrated with the industrial parks, logistic hubs and emerging economic corridors. Our esteemed panel will help us answer three very questions in this regard. What must the government of Telangana do differently? What can financial institutions to do? Increase affordable housing finances. What commitment can private sector make to for promoting affordable housing? Friends, we are committed to taking the outcomes of the discussions behind this room into policy notifications, operational guidelines, model projects and budgetary decisions. Telangana has the vision, the institutional base and the economic strength to become a national and global example of inclusive urbanization. With our ideas, with your ideas and partnership, I am confident that the Telangana model of affordable housing 2047 will not only serve our state, but also offer learning and inspiration for affordable housing development. On that note, I once again welcome all of you to this session. Thank you for your presence and look forward to a rich and efficient decisions. Jai Hind, Jai Telangana. Pleasant.
Honorable Minister, sir, thank you so very much for your kind and encouraging words. We all are excited about the prospects for housing in the state, and with your leadership, we are very confident that Telangana will reach newer heights, particularly in the affordable housing segment. Thank you so much once again, sir. With this, we'll start the panel discussion, and as you are already aware, the panel consists of members from various facets of the housing sector. We are privileged to have the Dean of the School of Planning and Architecture, Delhi, which is the premier most institute in India for housing and development. Dr. Rao, if I could direct the first question to you, sir. What are the opportunities and market gaps with regard to housing for all? This has been a topic which has been going on for many, many years. What do you think are the market opportunities and gaps and at an India level and more specifically at the Telangana level, sir?
Certainly. I think this is a very topical...
Sir, the mic can be a little closer to you. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Honorable Minister, with your kind permission. I think this is a very, very important and topical subject that has been chosen for discussion today. Housing, as we all know, has a lot of forward and backward linkages. So any investments that are made in the housing sector actually lead to greater economic opportunities in as many as about 230 or 240 odd industries, both forward linkages and backward linkages. So investments in housing would mean investments in a wide variety of other areas where there's a lot of employment opportunities that are going to be given to our people. Because without employment, there's no money, and without money, there's no housing. Let's remember that. You have to have money if you want to buy a house, whether you are a very rich person or not so very rich person. Some amount of money is always required, and if you don't have that, of course, there are financial institutions and there are others who can always chip in and give you some loans and so on and so forth. The opportunity for the market, for the industry, I presume is what you are asking. Yes, there is a huge housing shortage in this country. We are only about 40% urban. The last time we had a census was quite some time ago. But while we are waiting for the next census, we presume that we are about 40% urban. So we still have a large number of people living in the rural areas, and we still have a lot of people who want to migrate into the urban areas because of the employment opportunities, which means that whatever is the urban housing shortage, which is in several millions, is only going to increase in the times to come, which means that the opportunity is humongous. There are some estimates that as of the year 2022, the urban housing shortage, the total housing shortage in Telangana is about 2.8 million, out of which a major chunk actually happens to be in the urban areas and a very small percentage in the rural areas. This is obviously going to increase in the times to come when more people from the rural areas will come to the urban areas. Now, market opportunity, the government is already doing its bit. You have the Indiramma Housing Scheme, you have the Andhra Pradesh Housing Board, you have the AP Housing Corporation Limited. They are doing a fairly good job. You have the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, Urban and Shahri and Gramin. Some funds are coming from there, some funds are coming from the HUDCO as well. But is that enough? That is clearly not enough, because we still have a large number of people living in the slum areas. which are in not just Hyderabad, but several other urban centers in the state of Telangana. So, what do we do with them? There is a huge corporate sector, real estate developers. We have members from the CREDAI also here with us. And real estate developers are providing a lot of housing in the urban areas. But this housing is, of course, for the upper and middle income segment. Can they also downmarket their products? Can they also provide for the lower income population who cannot afford maybe a 3-bedroomed house, but can perhaps afford a 1-bedroomed house, maybe something costing 30 lakhs, 40 lakhs, 50 lakhs. Why cannot they provide for it? Unfortunately, in our country, there is also luxury housing demand. So developers, obviously, they are in here for making money. So they are catering to the luxury housing demand, which perhaps is now more or less getting saturated. If you look at the inventory overhang, if you look at the vacant housing, there are figures where luxury housing is more or less now saturated. So if developers want to remain in the business, then I think you better start building small. Get into the one-room segment. I'll not use the word affordable. I'll not use the word low income because we don't want to go the nano way. So I need only a one-room house. I could be a rich man. I could be a poor man. Whatever. So you have products which are of a wide variety, wide range, wide ticket size, costing from 20 lakh, 30 lakh, 40 lakh, going up to 2 crore and 3 crore. And whoever wants to buy whatever, they can come and buy. So there is a huge unmet demand, and there is a market opportunity here. And real estate developers, many of them are coming and buying. There are, of course, you all know as developers, there are incentives that are being provided both by the central government and the state government. Income tax concessions are there, stamp duty concessions are there. Almost all state governments now have affordable housing policies. I think Telangana one is on the anvil. I think we can actually learn from the other states' examples, and we can maybe make out a better one. So I think there is a great opportunity, and the opportunity is actually in the numbers. So build more, and probably the very big developers may not want to come in, but there will certainly be a segment of developers who would want to build the one-room units, sure, and provide them at a much reasonable price. So I am quite upbeat on
Sure,
this
sir.
particular segment of the market.
Thank you, Dr. Rao. Thank you so much. Before we move on to the next question, Mr. Gautam.
So, thank you, Professor Rao, for your comments. So, we have amidst us a very august audience, including our Honorable Chairman of the Legislative Council, Shri Gutta Sukendra Reddy Garu, and Honorable Advisor to Government, Shri Sudarshan Reddy Garu. Thank you for joining us in this discussion, sir. We are proud to have you amidst here. Taking forward from what Professor Rao said, about the actual demand, I'd like to just pitch a couple of data points on that, because our state has taken a pretty comprehensive house-to-house survey of the housing demand, and with a good app called Indiramma app, where we have gone house to house and captured the demand, including the present living conditions, including the what kind of a housing structure they are in, and also capturing their socio-economic factors. So we still have an unmet demand in urban areas, an unmet demand of 20.33 lakh in the LIG/EWS segment and 8.77 lakhs in the MIG segment. And yes, total of 28 lakhs, 8 lakhs in MIG and 20 lakhs in LIG/EWS. And in fact, these are not people who are completely dependent on government subsidy. Of course, EWS government will be, catering to, and this government is very, very committed as part of the Indiramma Illu scheme. But there is a lot of purchasing power, but the bracket of the supply in that bracket is missing. That is what is reflecting in this demand. So I just want to place these facts before the panel. Sure. I request Preetham to take.
Sure, Mr. Gautam. Thank you so much for highlighting those statistics. So I'll quickly move on to the President-elect for CREDAI National, Mr. Ram Reddy. Sir, from the industry standpoint, you just heard the statistics shared by Mr. Gautam. He said there's a latent demand for about 28 lakh houses. So 8 lakh houses in the MIG segment and about 20 odd lakh houses in the LIG segment. How is the industry viewing this? How are you looking at this opportunity? How can you, as the leader in an industry body, motivate the private sector to participate in this opportunity, sir?
Yeah, thank you, Pritam. Sir, thank you so much for giving that figures. 28 lakhs, it's a surprise to us. I mean, the demand, what you're talking about it. Yes, CREDAI plays a role. I mean, across the state, we have 15 chapters. So every chapter have a big connection with the CREDAI Telangana state. So that housing demand today, you talk about especially middle class. So affordable housing, there is a definition of 45 lakh rupees is the cap, and 60 square meter in metros, and non-metro it is 90 square meters. This 45 lakhs cap was decided 8 years ago. So today in 45 lakhs you are not getting those affordable houses. The definition of affordable housing has to be redefined. So this we have been giving the representation from CREDAI National multiple times. Hopefully, I mean this time also we met the Honorable Finance Minister, then Housing Minister. Possibly this budget we are expecting that limit of affordable housing going to be increased. That is very much required, sir. I request the Honorable Minister from your side also has to push for this, sir. Otherwise, so the very basic affordability where we are getting the land prices have gone up, the construction costs gone up, everything has gone up. Inflation, you can see 8 years inflation, if you take every year, I mean 5 to 7% inflation is there. If you take that also, it comes to 75-80 lakh rupees. So this we have been continuously talking to the governments, but hopefully this time I think after talking to them we got some positive note and we are definitely going to have this. So affordable housing definition, then concessions has to be given. Even in the cities like Hyderabad, if you want to build an affordable housing, so land prices are so high. So getting affordable is very challenging, sir. So I request the government has to look into this and provide some lands to the developers and a PPP model so that developers will come forward and they will build so many affordable houses, then they will be having their own business models. So this will definitely will encourage the developers and it will become easy for you to also cater to so many ways, sir. So definitely yeah, thank you.
Good idea, na? Definitely will work out it that way also.
Thank you so much, thank you so much. Yesterday, Preetham was mentioning about the old, I mean, what do you call, all housing board houses were there. So,
example, Kukatapalli.
Kukatpalli housing, there's a prime area today.
Ground
so,
plus 3 present.
Yes, yeah, if you make it a PPP model, definitely it's going to give a big boost to the, I mean, this affordable housing, sir. Thank you so much.
Great. Mr. Ram Reddy, you stolen a couple of questions that I had, but it's good that we got a response from the Honorable Minister as well. I'll quickly move on to Abhijit from the World Bank. Abhijit, the Honorable Minister spoke about the financing opportunities and available of funding for the housing sector. How does World Bank come in and support state governments, the private sector, and ultimately the end users and buyers? How are you able to participate in this value chain? And if you can talk about some successful partnerships that you have managed both in India and outside India.
Thank you, Peter. First of all, I'd like to thank the government of Telangana for inviting us and for organizing this panel discussion. So from the World Bank Group's perspective, which includes both the World Bank, the IFC and MIGA, which is our private sector financing arm and guarantee arm respectively, we generally look at engaging with our government counterparts in 4 areas when it comes to housing. One is land, one is permissions, third is infrastructure, and fourth is financing. So you asked me very specifically about financing. Maybe I'll elaborate that a bit more than the others. But just to give you an example, because I think the President-elect of CREDAI, Mr. Ram Reddy, also mentioned this. So land is critical because it adds to the cost when the private sector needs to come in, right? And from land perspective, there are two things. So land costs near the core of the cities are high, like he was mentioning, and land cost away from the city in the suburbs. We heard about the ORR and the areas outside the ORR which would be developed are more affordable. So there it becomes important to ensure the connectivity to these locations, right? Brownfield redevelopment, yes, definitely looking at land parcels which are not giving the economic returns. You can look at reconstruction, you can look at PPPs like you mentioned. But for the affordable housing to be constructed for people who are going to work mostly in the peripheral areas, maybe linked to some industrial areas, etc. The second is permissions. So the second major cost comes usually in terms of both the planning permissions and the permissions for change in land use, right? And these are two areas which I think the government can come in. I know the government of Telangana has already done a lot in these two areas, but this is an area that we work with different state governments in India, specifically in Tamil Nadu, as well as other countries, in identifying the bottlenecks and finding the solutions. The third is in terms of the infrastructure. So the infrastructure is important. We have some housing projects in other countries where the component of infrastructure, so water supply, sewer, etc., connectivity through mass rapid transit systems is more than the actual house construction component, right? Because once you're able to provide service land at certain locations, the private sector will automatically come in, pick it up, and deliver what is required in terms of the supply. And the fourth is, of course, in terms of financing. So in financing, we, World Bank as well as other multilateral institutions, will look at both the demand side as well as the supply side. So recently in our engagement in Tamil Nadu, we had a $440 million engagement. There the government was keen to move away from being a provider to becoming more of an enabler. They were already enablers, but more of an enabler. And one of the things that was done was setting up of this shelter fund, which allows long-term tenor financing at market rates, but quite comparable to scheduled commercial banks, especially for developers who are interested to come into the affordable housing section, but probably don't have the credit profile to get attractive financing rates from financing institutions, commercial financing institutions. So this kind of a facility which was promoted by the government, was the equity of World Bank, ADB and the government of Tamil Nadu, has helped both rental housing as well as ownership housing. And since I mentioned rental housing, the Honorable Minister mentioned the 28 lakh, or rather Mr. Gautam, you mentioned the 28 lakh demand. So in terms of meeting the gap, I think it's important to look at rental housing as well as one of the options. The focus should not exclusively be on ownership housing. So let me just stop.
Yeah, so Abhijit, I had a specific question on rental housing. Maybe we'll come back to that topic in a few minutes. We also have another stalwart from the financing industry, the ex-CMD of HUDCO, sir. But sir, allow me a couple of minutes, I'll come back to you. Okay. The next question I want to direct to both the developers from Hyderabad, Mr. Nandakishore and Ajitesh. How are you both seeing Telangana and Hyderabad's residential housing market supply and demand situation, and what factors will play a critical role for the private sector to operate in all budget categories? We are seeing more and more developers playing in the upper middle income category, etc. How do we make sure that everyone participates in all budget categories?
First of all, thank you for having us here. At the outset, I would like to say the land prices being out of board in Hyderabad are being overplayed in my view. Actually, if you see, barring a couple of pockets, the land prices are not as exorbitant as they are made out to be. If you look at Kokapet, if it is 150 crores there, every kilometer you move away from there, the price drops by almost 6 to 7 crores per acre. And by the time you reach Patancheru, it would be around 20-25 crores per acre. And if you look at the FSI cost, I think it would still be within a decent range of say 1,000 rupees to 1,500 rupees a square feet, which is I think pretty much a fair expectation even if you compare with cities like Bangalore and other cities. But what is most important here is we have to understand what is affordability. Affordability, while the government has defined as a certain budget of 45 lakhs and all that, for me affordability is to be looked at from an individual household perspective. If a household is able to finance their EMI with 40% of its household income, then it is affordable to them. So that way you have to categorize the people into various brackets like EWS, LIG, MIG, HIG and all that. Now in the EWS category, I think come whatever, I think there have to be different models developed for that. And one of the biggest points what I would like to make here is that Hyderabad has got almost close to 2 million people in the slum areas, if Google is to be believed. Now 2 million people in the slum areas would roughly translate to around 4 to 5 lakh households. Now how do you do that? I think this is where we need to borrow the model of Mumbai. The model there has matured a lot, and I'm sure in most of this slum redevelopment, there will be many developers who would be more than happy to participate in this slum redevelopment. And I think we can adopt the Mumbai model here to do for that. And one of the prerequisites, of course, for this would be that government will have to ensure that there are other government lands which are made available so that developers can build transit camps where people can be temporarily located and then brought back once these developments are complete. And also there is another aspect that we also have to consider is that bulk of these home buyers, if we were to get into greenfield projects, if developers are to get into greenfield projects, bulk of these home buyers have a problem of credit availability. Housing finance companies will not be able to finance them. And I think that is where the government intervention becomes very important. They have to perhaps give some kind of a credit guarantee to cover the lender's risk. And I was talking to a developer in Mumbai almost 15 years ago who had done in Karjat, he had developed this affordable housing. One of the biggest problems he faced was that the people who bought homes were not able to pay the subsequent installments, and that puts a huge risk to the project as a whole. I think that is where the government can again intervene. Apart from that, what the government can also do is give the developers incentives. I would say more than the developers, I would say the home buyers incentives by way of stamp duty exemption, which is again a substantial cost. We don't have a separate. And of course, approvals, as everybody says, there has to be a separate body which will give approvals, whether it is an SRA development or whether it is a development of affordable housing. There has to be a separate body who has to do that, and it has to be a genuine single window system. I mean, it should be something which operates truly as a single window system. One of a easier solution would be where a government has huge land tracts outside on the periphery of the city, right? So what I suggest, sir, is that if we can identify large land parcels across the 4 corners of the city, the government can do the designing, concept development and master planning of those lands. All the government has to do, once they have done that, and create the trunk infrastructure also, so that the developers don't have to run for, taking approvals or permissions. All they have to do is that we can tell the developers, okay, you develop here this much of area, you get these concessions or benefits elsewhere in the city. So I think that is something like what we are seeing in Mumbai. That thing can also be adopted. So the developers, one of the reasons the developers are not coming forward is mainly because they cannot do the running around, they cannot focus their energies on developing low margin, low profit areas. And it will be unfair and impractical for us to expect that private capital will make sacrifices. So I think the government has to do those master planning and developments across all locations in the city, and the developers will be more than happy to come and participate.
Similar this development what you said now, in which state it is going now?
Sir, I understand it is happening in Mumbai. They are doing in
That type of document and
in
everything,
Ahmedabad
we'll
also they have
give
done
to
something similar,
our
sir.
secretary. We'll
Yeah,
give to
I will definitely. Actually, I've been interacting with Mr. Gautam a lot, and we have a lot of conversations. And I can see there is a genuine interest to do something really good, and we'll be more than happy,
It's
sir.
really good. Definitely, this government is also thinking that way.
Yes, sir. That's what I'm saying. Thank you.
Thank you, Nandakishore ji. Thank you, Honorable Minister. Ajitesh, can you quickly come in and can I restrict your time to about 2 odd minutes, please?
Sure. See, first and foremost, to understand this entire landscape, right? Am I audible now? Yeah. See, from the government side, government has land reserves in the city, core city area, right? Some of them are greenfield, some of them are brownfield. Greenfield land parcels, government has to auction at, and we need to allow the market to realize its potential. By not doing that, essentially we are eating into the balance sheet of the government. So I think the main innovation can come around brownfield land ownership, or what we call slums. If something can happen around easily establishing ownership in the slums. Because see, as it is, if you look at the slums, we have maximum in FSI consumption of maybe 1.5. Whereas in the west of Hyderabad, we go up to 10 FSI. So the FSI is a very beautiful concept, which is one of the biggest reason why still things are affordable. Let me share one small data point. In the prime region of Hyderabad, at a macro scale, an average house costs per SFT around 8.5, 10,000 rupees, like let's say Gachibowli. In Bangalore, an equivalent sort of area, house costs 20,000 rupees, in Gurgaon it's 27,000. So Hyderabad is currently the most affordable city in the country. That's to start with. Why we are there? Fundamentally because of the high FSI regime. Now second thing, when many people say a lot of things with FSI, first of all, there is no unlimited FSI in Hyderabad. If your property is abutting a 40-feet road, you can only build 7 floors. If your property is abutting 4-lane road or 80-feet road, you can only build 15 floors. Only if your property is abutting a 6-lane road or an 8-lane road, you can build like multiple floors. And a big road can accommodate all of this traffic. And second thing, see, this has become a market force. So we need to make policies which become market force. So when it comes to affordable housing, we have to work on how, see, essentially the slum lands, whatever lands have gone for the slum, today are, in a way, are catering to the affordable demand in an unorganized manner. We are trying to make it organized. So the FSI advantage exists. We need to just work around the ownership things. There is no additional capital commitment for the government or for the private sector. Next, I do agree with one of the esteemed panelists that, yeah, I think housing for all, we need to focus more on the rental ownership, rental side, not on the ownership. Because the problem with ownership is it's going to cost a lot of money. Let's say somebody is earning 9 lakh rupees per year, right? And I'm taking a home loan of 25 to 27 lakhs. I'm going to spend half of my money just paying my EMI. I can't live with that. See, households which are earning less than probably 10 to 12 lakhs per annum, a good amount of expenditure will go towards healthcare and education. They should not be wasting money on the side. So a good rental housing scheme, if you bring in, where the cap rates fall anywhere around 7 to 8%, then you will have lot of demand. And also there are major global financial institutions like IFC Washington and ADB and these things who are giving fund exclusively for it. So capital is available. I think we just need to solve a little bit of the supply chain. Government side innovation lies around land ownership. As private sector, our role involves in on the supply chain side. So we need to invest in R&D to bring down the cost of construction. I think the future is going to head in the direction of precast. So we need economies of scale. I think we will be getting there.
Absolutely, Ajitesh. Thank you so much. We will come back to precast and other construction technologies as well, if time permits. But it's the right time to introduce Mr. Suresh, the former CMD of HUDCO. Sir, you heard all the panelists. Everybody is talking about finance and credit availability and rental housing, etc. With your vast experience, sir, how has HUDCO been an enabler for this entire sector? And what is going on? What are your suggestions and recommendations to improve the supply in the affordable housing category?
Thank you very much. Very nice to get the views. And more importantly, I'm happy to hear from the Honorable Minister a very clearly sequential type of housing approach in the core of the city, in the outer area, peripheral area, and small and medium town. Because the whole state housing is a very major one. And that's it's the right approach, because
that really brings the right level of inputs, more so because the cost of land in those particular case, the third category will be much lower, which is also a point brought out by many people here. But what is interesting is that as far as HUDCO as a financial institution is concerned, not only during my time earlier, but even continuously the present team also, we have the regional chief of HUDCO sitting inside the one, and I'm very happy during the current year only around 1,45,000 houses for the rural area, which he has indicated has already been done with about 5,000 crores, and about 95,000 urban houses have been also funded with substantial amount of money. And if I'm not mistaken, by January, another major project is also going to come. Of the order of around 14,000 crores of money is coming into the housing segment in Telangana. I'm only talking of Telangana one. And that particular thing covers not only the housing component of the weaker section, but also the low income one. I got to really, the Honorable Minister as well as Gaudamji is there. They've done a fantastic job of actual delivery of houses of the order of around nearly 3 lakhs houses to be taken up and implemented. It's not an easy thing to deliver, and they have been able to do that. And that's equally an important one, because funding institution would be happy to fund, provided you're able to good delivery coming, and also do it on time, cost and quality. And if you're able to do that, financial institutions will be very happy to extend funding in the sector. And Telangana is doing extremely well, and not only through Telangana Housing Development Corporation, Telangana Housing Board, and equally important is a contribution on housing coming from my brother sitting on the left. The private sector is contributing well. Around 300 big developers are there in Hyderabad and nearby, and around 500 are there in Telangana from other side. So contribution of the private sector is an equally important component of housing that will be coming. So contribution by the public sector, primarily on the low income housing and weaker section housing. They have a weaker section housing program, a big thrust being given, and I want to really give a salute for that and for the great initiative, not only in policy framework, but also in actual implementation through good cooperation using the I was very happy, the gentleman who came with me to escort me, he's dealing with the urban housing, even up to the 9-story development in the heart of the city through the GHMC. They are doing 560 square feet houses of the order of about 8 lakhs. So it's pretty good. 8 lakhs to be done with that particular cost. Land cost, leave it out, but that's a different issue. But it's being done very well. And therefore, different type of component where the land is very intense, you go a little high rise, maybe around 6 or 7 stories, and maybe where land is not so costly, you can go to 2 or 3 story or 4 story development. The differential approach is also very good, and therefore the funding is coming in a big way. There is no problem in that sector. And they're also opening in the private sector. We stopped it in between for some time. Now, opening the real estate sector to the private sector agency is also a new initiative that Sanjay Kulshrestha has done, the new CMD has done. So that will be also good news for funding. Of course, in addition to HUDCO as an agency, large number of housing financing institutions are there for the lending on the retail lending. Because when developers put the money, the whole housing cost is done through the housing home loans with reasonably good rates of interest, and of the order of even 8%, 8.5% rate of interest, with the EMI coming still for every lakh of loan, less than around 1,000 rupees for every 1 lakh of loan is pretty good. And you're having, and with the latest announcement which is given by the government on RBI's new interest rate policy, you can expect all the housing financing institutions to bring down the housing loan also to slightly some extent also. I do not think that should be a problem if the delivery is an important one. That's where they score well. The ministry is there, the secretary is there, MD is there. If you're able to deliver well, implement it on time, good technologies to be brought in, that's where financial institutions will be very happy to put any amount of money. I do not think that's a problem. But the big number, that number which is about 28 lakhs that he said, covering the high income housing plus also the low income and weaker section there. One suggestion which I would like to add with all that the Honorable Minister is here, if you are able to do something on land assembly and also infrastructure being laid, the Honorable Minister asked which states are doing that, then ask the private sector to come and join on a public-private partnership basis. Not only the pure public sector doing, pure real estate sector doing, do some projects on public-private partnership. Haryana has done that in a big way. Maharashtra has done in Sitco and the new townships in Nashik and Nagpur. West Bengal has done some projects, including equity participation on company also, just by the way. So that model is also there. So public-private participation are working where the government is good for land and infrastructure, private sector is good for design and implementation. So we can do to that particular company also in a big way. So I know there will be many questions coming, but that's an immediate answer I can give. And as far as the government of Telangana's massive program of housing is concerned, the vision that you have put, sir, we are there to fully support that particular program. Not only for that, I understand the new township that's going to come in this very location there. Bharat. The HUDCO is already coming in a big way to fund that, including all the other infrastructure for water supply and other related, because infrastructure is a larger component, which is also an important component that will come on that. Possibly, if you are able to make the land and development cost, say around 30% of the total cost. Why is it going from 4,000 rupees a square feet to 10,000 rupees in Hyderabad? It is the cost of the land cost that's coming. Opportunity cost of land is where that's coming. We should bring that down to around 35%. Then the building construction cost can be around 60%. That can only happen if new landmarks, a good suggestion which you gave over there, I agree. If we, with infrastructure we do that, I'm sure they will deliver. Because construction cost in any case is not more than about 2,500, about 3,000 rupees. Even at the best possible specification, it will be around 2,500 rupees. It is the opportunity cost of land that is really making the particular thing get into that 10,000 level and 12,000. A good point that was suggested over. It's still, he says, as he says, Hyderabad and environments are still much better than other metro cities that you have over there. I'll stop at that point of time.
Thank you so much, Mr. Suresh. We love your energy and we love your articulation.
Thank you.
You know, we wish, yeah, a louder round of applause will be great. Thank you so much. Dr. Rao, if I can come back to you, and Ajitesh, you brushed upon the topic of precast housing. So Dr. Rao, you know, from an urban planning and urban design principle, you know, have you seen instances where urban planning tools have been used to augment supply in the housing sector? Are there any tricks in the trade that can be employed by the governments, you know, in Telangana specifically to augment supply? And Ajitesh, if you can follow it up with construction technologies, apart from precast, what else can fasten construction and bring in supply quicker into the market? You know, even Mr. Ram Reddy and Nandkishore can add, but Dr. Rao, we'll start with you.
Yeah, so I think one of the fundamental requirements is land assembly, as very rightly pointed out here. Very recently I was in Bangalore and I was talking to the people in the Karnataka Housing Board. There what they've done is that instead of going in for direct land acquisition, they brought all the landowners together and they've come into an agreement with the land owners, and there's a public-private partnership model where there's an agreement and there's a sharing, and the private sector is coming, and Karnataka Housing Board, they're doing a lot of housing, and the people are very happy there because the landowners are also getting some amount of benefit out of this. So rather than going in for, like in some states...
Same concept here is also planning now. In some ORR and in between RRR.
Okay.
We are planning same thing.
A similar kind of a public-private partnership.
Approaches and everything, also roads, radial roads, everything also already planning, ongoing works is going.
Okay. That's very nice. The other thing is, the mention was made about FSI. So the floor area ratio is very, very important. You need to get the maximum out of the limited land that's available. So, I know, just now that has been said. So it depends upon the road weights. So you can also do a kind of a cross subsidy wherein if a developer does affordable housing, then he can get an incentive FSI like they are doing in the case of Mumbai, where lands which are occupied by the slums, the developer can come in, and then there's a slum rehabilitation authority, SRA is happening there. So there are those ways by which you can enhance the efficiency of utilization of the limited land that is available, so that you can accommodate more in the limited land that is available. So this FSI incentive is, I think, very, very important. And of course, there are other financial incentives. I don't have to talk about that. It is already
Sure,
been said.
sure. Thank you, sir.
On the cost of construction, I think you can.
See, I think prefab is for the foreseeable future. Prefab would be a good investment area. Again, there's robotic construction and 3D printing, but it's in very early stage technology, and frankly, not a very good solution for us here, because we have to go vertical. Especially in the West, land availability is high, so you can go horizontal. So yeah, we need to invest in prefab tech and any tech which will help us in going vertical construction, and probably sort of, see, even in prefab also, the more important things are the viability question is coming, especially from the point of view of transportation of these materials. If something can be done around the transportation costs, or maybe some sort of yard or a manufacturing plant sort of, because these are all concealed plants, so they're not environmentally pollution contributing. If you can make some of those plants on different directions of the city, then the transportation cost comes down. So that is what I would recommend. And even the schools like we have construction worker training schools can start working on these problems, because labor training also becomes sort of important in this.
Yeah, so I'll bring in Mr. Ram Reddy there, sir. He spoke about worker training and schools. So what is the industry body doing about faster construction, cheaper construction, at the same time taking care of the skill development in this sector?
Yeah, especially about the skill development, CREDAI National has a tie-up with NSDC, CSDCI. So a lot of programs have been conducted across the country. Every city chapter, I mean, people are coming for giving their training. Because these days, you know, how, I mean, problematic about the skilling. So no mason want his son to become a mason. No carpenter want to become his son as a carpenter. So now government also is supporting them in many ways. So there is no problem for them to their livelihood. So that's how nobody is willing to come for the work. So now as a developer, we have to give them some pride to work. So already we are giving a lot of facilities. Earlier, the living condition was completely different. Today, the living condition have been improved a lot. So, I mean, and their dressing style, all those things, I mean, it's been changed. Now people are just feeling that, yes, I mean, instead of calling as a laborer, we are calling them as a worker. So that way, some better things are happening. So apart from that, cost of construction to reduce, especially majorly bulk production of the precast. So it has become precast is not a great solution today, because so there is no users for that. There are some challenges in going for the construction. So those challenges has to be addressed further. And when it comes in a huge volumes, definitely it's going to become cost effective. I just give an example. When vitrified tile came in, I think 20 years ago, when I used it was 110 rupees per square feet. First I purchased. But today you know how it is when even you are getting it at 40 rupees also. Because the volumes, the technologies, the speed of production, all these things are happening. So in the construction also we need that. Speed is very important, and even you have to encourage those industries to establish. So again, establishing an industry, we are facing some challenges. So those challenges has to be addressed. More people has to come for the industry, and more many has to adopt the new technologies. Already you have seen every 7 days you are going to build one floor of slab. Those technologies have been there. We have seen we are evolving. From a concrete mixer to from gamela to gamela, then hoist to then cranes, and all those things are coming. So future is definitely for the technology, and lot of research has to take place in the technology also. So to reduce the cost, technology is the only biggest solution. Thank you.
Lovely, lovely. Kishorji, your thoughts, and then we'll move on to Mr. Suresh. He had some inputs on technology as well. Please, sir.
See, I think from a technology perspective, what gets manufactured in the factory on a repetitive basis will obviously be the cheapest compared to what gets done in situ. So if you look at China, I think bulk of their homes are manufactured in the factory, and they're just assembled at the site. So it's an assembly line process that they follow. I think that is something which we need to replicate, and that is a much larger issue. But what is most important, I think, apart from the construction cost and technology, I think the cost of building a home, one, time is a very significant factor. And as I mentioned, if the government can facilitate a scheme or a policy wherein the time is cut down, I think that is going to add a significant benefit to the, bring down the cost. The second is the financing of the construction, the developer finance for affordable housing. I think here again, cheaper finance, I think much like what the central government has done with the Swami Fund, which is doing an amazing job in the stressed asset portfolio. I think the same thing, if something that is similar can happen for affordable housing, I think that is another big advantage. And the third advantage is the GST on construction. Now, whether you are building an affordable housing or you are building a regular housing, the GST from a construction side is the same. While the buyer is getting only GST at 1%, but from the developer, the GST on the construction is still the same. If that can be brought down substantially, then I think this will bring down the overall cost of construction. Add to that, if the state government, I'm sure if they can do something and bring down the approvals cost, which is again today similar, and also certain other parameters like, the parking requirements, irrespective of the kind of homes you are building, the parking requirement still remains the same. I think these are some areas where we can work around to bring down the overall cost of construction by reducing the time, by certain interventions from the government and certain use of technology, and also by bringing down the approvals costs and timelines and all this. I think this is everything has to fall in together. Sure. And of course, as I said, finally, eliminate or bring down the land cost component as much as possible. That's the...
Thanks, Kishorji. Suresh sir, over to you. You had some thoughts on technology.
Yeah, I think it's an important one. At the end of the day, it's going to be construction, and the way in which things are going on, the cost of construction is component of building materials as well as the labor component there. On an average, if it is going to be in the urban component, about 70-30 between the building material cost and the labor component there. And this is also the second largest employment generation, housing in over there. You're about 5 crore construction workers, and that's a very major area next to agriculture. So if you're able to give a big thrust for the construction workers who are dealing mason, carpenter, bartender, plumber, electrician, around 65 trades are there, tile layer, glass fixer, painter, etc., etc. And if you're able to do a big job, at one point of time, somewhere in the late 90s, the good moment was the national network of building centers, which is or Nirmiti Kendra or Nirman Kendra. We said that primarily a technology transfer center, a skill upgradation center, a manufacturing center for products or precast there, and also housing guidance center, and also construction workforce. A 5-in-1 job. And fortunately, Telangana has done good in the Nirmiti Kendras also in a big way, but I do not know at this point of time it's still going on well or not, but it will be good to retain, especially your program outside in the rural component of housing and small and medium towns, tier 2 and tier 3 cities. We should strengthen that particular component, and that will give better, in which case wastage will be lower, quality of housing will be better, and we should strengthen in that. And I also agree with him, precast is a very important component. He suggested that at the beginning over there, we left it. There are a lot of good initiatives coming in this country, with including 3D housing, the whole thing. But you require good volumes coming there, committed volumes are required in that particular area. And previously we thought that we have to do in a factory and bring it all the way to the site there, travel cost and all that. But now there are a lot of technology, we can do it. Also the manufacturing component at the very site itself. Many companies have done. But I agree, the economies will come where the wall. If we are able to do, even today I find large number of good construction with prefab which are being done over there of the order of around 1,800 to 2,000 rupees a square feet as against casting. See, time is the most important one. If in situ construction, if it takes about 2.5 to 3 years for a project of a 20-30 storied building, you can do the same thing in about 1 year time period. And that's an important component. Interest during construction is a very major component there, if you're able to do that. But we should have an enabling environment to support that. But skill upgradation and training through the National Academy of Construction here, NICMARSO unit here, the Credais training institutes, all that together along with the building center movement or Nirmiti Kendra movement can give a big thrust. Take my word, as the Honorable Minister is here, sir, this is one area which can have a major impact for the large construction workforce which are there in Telangana, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, Mr. Suresh. Abhijit, if I can quickly bring you in back to the rental housing topic. A few speakers spoke about rental housing, and I think there is a consensus amongst the panel that everything cannot be for purchase supply. What has been World Bank's experience? How has World Bank enabled rental housing? Because the economics in India is quite different and very difficult, right, for rental housing to work. So your learnings and suggestions there, please.
Thank you, Preetham. Before I come to rental housing, I'm just going to take 2 minutes and probably reflect on some of the discussions. So blended financing was one of the thoughts that came up, and this is something that many countries have done successfully. We have done this in Brazil, we are doing this in Kenya, looking at providing catalytic risk financing support or looking at providing credit support to developers. So both sides can be looked at. I think the main point I want to say is that when a multilateral agency is getting involved, it need not be in terms of direct financing. It can also be in terms of a guarantee, right? Which means we are guaranteeing that if there is a problem that comes up to a certain, after a certain threshold, then the guarantee comes into play. So there is a very minimal cost of guarantee. So the actual load of that guarantee on the cost is very low compared to, say, a pure borrowing. And just wanted to make that point because the government is doing its policy thinking. The second is transit camps is very important. But with transit camps, we've seen some states are now exploring with rental vouchers, right? So for a 2-year period or 1.5 to 2-year period, a rental voucher of X amount is being given so that they can rent houses within, let's say, 2 to 3 kilometers of where they are located while the reconstruction goes on, right? And this rental vouchers I'm flagging because as a long-term policy for the government to look at, a rental voucher policy has been experimented in places like Chile, in Indonesia, where effectively every migrant worker who is coming in, recognized migrant worker coming in, is given a rental voucher for 3 to 4 years. And that, over that period, then they graduate to, say, ownership housing, right? So that's another thing the government could consider. Linked to this is also the issue of the lowest brackets, the first, second, third, fourth deciles, the economically weaker sections, and whether they have the affordability to buy, a housing. And this is where the role of the affordable housing finance companies come in, right? Now, with the affordable housing finance companies, the rate of interest is higher than, let's say, going to a formal. But we have seen, based on experience in Tamil Nadu, we have seen that people are able to afford and repay. And the government comes in through 2 means. So one is they come in through a tripartite agreement between the AHFC, the government, as well as the owner. And the second is there is a certain risk guarantee which is introduced by the government, which says that if you're not able to pay 2 quarters EMI, let's say, we cover it. After that, you'll have to vacate the house. So that kind of a system can also be looked at. Now back to rental housing, the question that you asked.
Thank you.
So, sorry. So on rental housing, what we are experimenting, so you're right, the returns for the private sector to come in is not there, right, to come in from a pure rental housing perspective. So we are looking at a possible blend of grants, so grants which would come from various government schemes that were mentioned, or grants that could come from other concessional sources for the construction cost, right, which actually reduces the cost at which the private operator operates the rental facility. So in Tamil Nadu, where this has been tried, the rentals without any concessional grants would be something around 12 to 13,000, has come down to 3.5 to 4,000. That is the impact that PMAY, ARHC window, or they have the Working Women's Hostel scheme, which is running quite well now, can play, right? So that is one thing I think every state now needs to look at. The second is industrial worker housing. So if we have, the previous session was chaired by the Industries Department as well, and we were talking of the industrial ecosystem, growing. That ecosystem requires housing, And rental housing is probably the best way to do it. So a tie-up between such industrial sites, industrial zones, or even corridors was being mentioned. No, new corridors are being set up. Identifying affordable housing within those corridors, right, for rental housing, has the possibility, because then the industrial estate comes in and subsidizes a part of the rent. So here the capital is not getting subsidized, the rent gets subsidized. So there are various models which can be looked at, which has been tried globally.
Thank you, Abhijit. We'll quickly move on to the private sector on the dais, starting with Mr. Ram Reddy. Sir, we spoke about PPP fleetingly, so how does the private sector and how does the industry body like yours, what kind of partnerships with government? We talk about PPP, which is private-public partnership. What models would the private sector be excited about? What models are, foremost in terms of acceptability?
So mainly the government has to provide the land, then proper approvals, proper infrastructure. These three things are from the government side. Then developers will come forward and definitely make a, whichever the project is there, they're definitely going to be successful. Apart from this, especially for affordable housing, the finance cost has to be definitely, as Mr. Nandkishore mentioned, it has to be reduced. Now, any private developer getting a project funding, it ranges from, and then the biggest, best developer is getting at 10%, it goes up to even 15% from private lending, non-scheduled banks. So that cost of funding is huge, and even approval also is taking huge time. Every project, Minister Gar also is in the real estate, he knows how the approval process is there. That has to be simplified, because a project, when the land is purchased or took on a development by paying the huge advances, if it takes a year to launch the project, huge burden on the, finance cost will be there.
The timelines is very important for approvals.
Yeah.
Definitely government will take the as early as possible the positive decisions.
Yeah, thank you so much. Now bill now has come, but still, because it's not a criticism, but improvement I'm talking about it. Lot of improvements has to be taken place. Definitely it's going to big help, because Telangana is a model for many, because especially the GO number 86, where Shekhar Reddy has put his best efforts, that what is that limit, sky is the limit to construct, that is given a big boost to Hyderabad real estate. Why various developers across the country coming to Hyderabad means because of such decisions. So even we talk across the country, our policies are great. So, whatever build now and TS, I-pass, all policies are great, but there is big scope for improvement, because every permission we have to go to many departments. Every department takes, every section, it takes a time. You know how much time it takes on that. So on this dais, I request the Honorable Minister, please look into this. Definitely this is going to make a big game changer for us. The vision what 2047 is a great vision. 3 trillion economy is going to be a reality. Definitely it's going to be reality. The way in which in the shortest time, the way in which has been event been conducted, really the MOUs have been signed, really a lot of credit goes to the Honorable Chief Minister and the ministers like you. Really, I am very, very happy to be associated. Whatever even the policies also across the country, whichever the best housing policies are there, from CREDAI, I can definitely be some use for you. I can get the information across the country. And the CBR is there to, create some vision document about the affordable housing. We are definitely will be the shareholders in that. Definitely, whatever the best can be from CREDAI, will contribute that.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you.
Thank you. I can quickly go to Ajitesh, and then I'll come to the Ramki group. So Ajitesh, your views on PPP models and partnerships with government. What are the most top of mind or most comfortable associations that private sector will accept?
See, I think first and foremost, I think the role of the stakeholder called the government is to simplify the land side of things. Right, like one very, very good thing now we are seeing is auctions. Auctions is a good way. It is actually also a PPP where the government is sourcing the land, cleaning it up, and then auctioning it. So I, as a developer, need not worry about so many of the legal hassles. So that's one very good to start with. Right? When it comes to pertainingly particular to the affordable housing, I think the slum one which I mentioned would be a good thing. The role of the private sector is to continuously work on cost reduction. And cost reduction is going to come up as a function of economies of scale. As we have more bigger and bigger firms, we have bigger R&D. So naturally we'll have to go invest because as Honorable Secretary has been mentioning, we have 3 million shortage hours. So the market demand exists. Now the question is, how do we make a profit? That's the only question remaining. So I think, see, if somehow 12% margin can be made, that's it, it's ripe for disruption. And also I would, like my humble suggestion would be for policymakers, is to focus probably less on subsidies. Because if you look pan-India under PM Awas Yojana and various state government programs, broadly speaking, 10% of the overall cost subsidy has already been given. And that's not really helping. I think we need to work more towards unlocking the market forces rather than the subsidies, because subsidy is also a burden on the exchequer. The middle class person who's paying the tax, it's a big burden on them. So maybe less subsidies and more market force orientation. Unlocking market force will really help the entire, all of us moving forward. And another one point which I would like to just mention before I conclude is that, see, housing is the most important sector. Let me put some statistics. Pan-India, we have 230 million people working in the agri-economy, where average per capita earning is 10,000 rupees. Right? Then we have 70 million people working in the manufacturing sector, where average earning is 15 to 17,000 rupees. Then we have another 70 million people working pan-India in the housing and construction segment, where the average earning is 25,000 to 27,000 rupees. So for every one person who's working in the construction sector, 2.7 equivalent people have to work in the agri sector. Almost all 1.8 people have to work in the manufacturing sector. So investing in housing under the visionary program of the Honorable Chief Minister to make our economy $1 trillion by 2034, investing in housing related policies will greatly push forward the economy and create opportunity for the bottom end of the society, thereby making them richer. Thank you.
Thank you, Ajitesh.
I think PPP in the housing or the real estate sector is always going to be a tricky thing, because people look at land, and mostly when we look at land, we look at it retrospectively. Ye land 10 saal pehle you had given it for 1 crore or 2 crores. Okay, so that's always going to be a dicey thing, lot of governance, lot of scrutiny, lot of challenges. So I would suggest, even in a PPP model, eliminate the land part, like what Ajitesh was mentioning. Let the government bring the land, not give to the developer. Let the government do the facilitation part of it. I think let rest be left to the private developers. Let economics and profit drive the development. I think provide whatever enabling environment that you can. Also very important here is to understand is, on an average in a city, 70% of the land is occupied by residences, by residential development. And still we have, say in a city like Hyderabad, like 3 million people not living in quality housing. I think that is something which is not reflecting very greatly on the overall scheme of things. So somewhere there is something which is lacking. And if this really has to be addressed, it cannot be addressed just by large developers or just by the government. It has to be all sizes of developers who have to be part of it. And one way of doing that is we have to ensure the city spreads horizontally. We are talking of Hyderabad having unlimited land, but if you see, we are not growing beyond a certain boundary. One of the reasons for that is lack of transport infrastructure. We have fantastic roads all around, but we don't have transport infrastructure. We don't have social infrastructure. I think that is where I would request the Honorable Minister and the government to...
In transport, now we are planning a metro line more than 300 kilometers, second and third phase also.
Absolutely.
Definitely it will be useful for in city.
Yeah, I think once that happens, once the transport infrastructure and automatically the social infrastructure will start developing, then I think you will find a lot more developers coming into these peripheral zones to develop the affordable housing. I think that is one area where the government can play a facilitating role than directly be a part of the PPP model.
Thank you so much, Anand Kishore ji. So,
Preetham, just one point. One point I would like to add. I think the objective of the entire PPP model should be government should not lose money, private sector should make money, and people should find solutions. That could be the broader vision statement.
Nicely put, Ajitesh, nicely put. So we are almost nearing the end of the session. I will pass on the mic to Mr. Suresh, and then the Honorable Secretary will also conclude the session. But we want to throw the floor open for some Q&A. So if there are a few questions, we will come to you, sir. The mics will come to you, but after Mr. Suresh's commentary.
Yeah. I wanted to add one dimension to the whole, because the whole thing is housing. And I have here the President Shekhar Reddy Garu, who is sitting over there in the front. He is also there. He is also the National Vice Chairman for the Indian Green Building Council. I bring to your notice the important comment. It is just not four walls and a roof. How to make the home also green in a large way. Integrated water management, integrated energy management, integrated waste management, saving of water saving, energy saving, and good interiors coming, good green to be developed over there. And the Indian Green Building Council, the headquarters is only in Hyderabad, and IGBC has done phenomenally well. And you'll be very happy to know, out of nearly 15 billion square feet of green development, which is about 1,500 crore square feet, mind you, 1,500 crore square feet, the housing component itself is of the order of around 3 billion square feet, and that's about 3,000 crores of housing. That's a very big number. And we have got ratings available for middle income, high income, and affordable housing is a very major component. We have a rating for affordable housing also. My suggestion is that in addition to the other components which you are discussing, also add on the dimensions of environment friendly, ecologically appropriate, energy saving, and other features to be introduced in that. So the quality of the housing, in addition to just being walls and roof, will also bring in a house to a home component of good quality being brought in. And I'm sure Shekhar Reddy will take over as the national chairman, like he will become the national president of CREDAI in Hyderabad, both happening. Telangana should be able to do a very good thing for all the housing that you do by Vision 2047, also to bring the dimension of green home as an important one. I thought I'll bring that, because that discussion did not come so far. You talked of land, infra, you talked of money, but not on the green component was not mentioned. And it's a very major area IGBC is contributing. It's available in Hyderabad, and please do that also in a dimension. Thank you.
Sure, sir. Thank you so much, Mr. Suresh. Mr. Gautam, if you have any... okay, so we'll throw the floor open for questions. So if we can have a couple of mics passed around, please. Yes, please.
Can you hear me? Yeah. I'm Professor Santosh Mehrotra. I'm on the advisory council of the Chief Minister on Telangana Rising Summit in 2047. I've heard a lot about more and more development for Hyderabad. What about the smaller towns? Why is it that we are neglecting the smaller towns, which is where most of the people of your state live and most of India lives? There are several win-wins that will happen if your focus as policy makers was on the smaller towns. What are the win-wins? We talked about job creation. You want job creation near to the locations where people are actually living. Point one. Point two, you can actually use prefab in small towns. You can't use prefab to go high. In big cities, you cannot be using prefab, and therefore you have to go high. If you don't go high, the problem is that you will have to keep developing infrastructure and metros, etc., and your city spreads like this. This is the opposite of successful cities of the world. Paris, London, Japan's Tokyo, they are all concentrated cities, and they rise like that. So the point is, we have too much concentration of people coming into big cities. We want people to be located in small towns, and that's where the clusters are. The MSMEs are located there. If you build clusters in small towns, you will actually be able to generate jobs, not just for construction, but for the the other parts of the economy. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, Professor.
In my opening remarks, already I told you, Andy, in Hyderabad, in between ORR, Triple R, in other out of Triple R, our plan is state government planning is like that. Definitely, we are 100% do that thing.
Just
Sir.
to what our Honorable
Yeah,
Minister has
my
said.
name is Narsaya. I am the Managing Director of Shanta Sriram Constructions. I am developing affordable housing. But, sir, Honorable Minister Garu, Meeru Kuda construction line lo unnaru. We are facing a lot of problem in developing an affordable housing. See, practically state government is not giving any concessions to any of the affordable housing. The person who is selling at 12,000 rupees per square feet and a person who is selling at 4,000 rupees per square feet paying the same fees to the GHMC and the same registration charges to the registration department. If you fix 1200 square feet plinth area, below 1200 square feet plinth area, affordable housing and fix a norm, you give a concession in registration charges, you give a concession in municipal sanction fees, and you give concession in TDR with additional floors without TDR. And other zones like agriculture or anything, without any change of land use, you should be able to give affordable housing scheme without any questions. Then I think the problem will be every private builder will come forward to do the affordable housing, sir.
Thank
Sure,
you.
sure, and manchi idea icharu. Definitely government will think that way also.
Thank you very much,
Thank
sir.
Gautam sir, you wanted to respond to the earlier question as well. Yeah.
So, responding to Professor Malhotra's points on the strategy for the smaller towns, as Honorable Minister said, the government has already taken up construction of houses in all these smaller towns. We have taken up construction of 50,000 houses in the smaller towns itself. Already these projects are ongoing. And of course, this entire session was focused on Hyderabad and periphery for want of time, and because the main intent of this workshop was a collaboration between the private sector and the public sector. So that was why the session was tailored like that. However, all your concerns are noted and government is very committed and very keenly working on those fronts. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll probably take one more question, sir. And please ask a question. Please mention who you want the question to be answered by, and please do introduce yourself. Sir, please ask the question. You can stand.
Hello.
Yeah.
My question is to the Honorable Minister and to the MD of the Housing Corporation. I represent here from National Institute of Rural Development, Panchayat Raj. I think Mr. Suresh and other people are talking about the affordable housing. Second thing, they are talking about the Nirmiti Kendras regarding the material availability, other things. Sir, what I found when you go to the affordable housing, we do not have the masons trained in this technology. So National Institute of Rural Development is giving a training in all these technologies. I think Government of Telangana can utilize the services of NIRDPR to train all their masons in this affordable technology so that greenhouse building can be constructed. Second thing is with regard to Nirmiti Kendras. So it's a very good concept where the material can be made available to the especially PMA beneficiaries. That's a major challenge they are facing with regard to material. So there is a need to revive the Nirmiti Kendras so that they can build the technologies. And I went to Nirmiti Kendra of Telangana, it's a defunct. Huge area is there. So if you can revive it, I think they can take the help of NIRDPR in training people and doing this so that we can build up the masons across the state so that the affordable housing can be taken place. So the Government of Telangana can bring the masons of the state to NIRD where we have got a rural building technology park where different model houses are there. They can come and see and they can learn the various technology that can be available so that those technologies can be utilized and housing can be made affordable. This is my submission. Thank you very much.
So just responding to your question. In fact, I am proud to say we have trained more than 10,000 masons before our Indiramma program actually kick-started on ground. This is primarily beneficial at construction, and masons play a very crucial role in it. So recognizing this, on the directions of our Honorable Minister, a residential training program for masons was done in NAC, National Academy of Construction, which is under the aegis of state government. It's a very premier training institute in the construction sector. And in fact, there were 5-day training was offered to masons on all the innovative construction technologies, innovative construction practices. And taking it from there, 2 people, so here we had trained 2 people from every block. So from 500 blocks, 2 masons each had come here, and we had organized 2 rounds of training. And taking it forward, the district branches of the National Academy of Construction organized training for masons from each and every Gram Panchayat of the state. So, in fact, putting together, we had trained more than 13,000 masons as part of the Indiramma housing program. Over and above this, in each and every block headquarters, Mandal headquarters, we had sanctioned and constructed technology demonstration houses where we utilized climate-friendly, thermally efficient technologies, roofing technologies, and walling technologies where material construction costs could be saved. And these were exhibited to all the Indiramma beneficiaries, as well as masons, as well as the Indiramma committees who are involved in this, overseeing the construction. So, of course, we are very keen to partner with NIRDPR as well in this front.
All right, thank you. I think we have just so much time. Maybe the last question to the gentleman who got up. After that, we'll have to, I think lunch is waiting, so I'm sure everybody must be hungry as well. So quickly shoot the question, sir.
Thank you,
please.
sir. Thank you. I'm Harsha from Izura. We manufacture tower cranes. We are based out of Hyderabad.
Sorry,
Sir,
you manufacture what, sir?
Tower cranes. So my question is, we don't see much of innovation in construction equipment industry in India. If you look at to bring in innovation, it's a highly capital intensive. Largely construction equipment are based off Chinese because they're largely backed by Chinese governments. So if you have to develop any sort of new product in terms of construction equipment, how can any Indian company come up and bring in the technology and innovation in construction equipment industry?
Who are you directing this question to?
The government, sir.
To anyone. Mr. Gautam, you want to, so he's asking how can the government support new technology in construction equipment?
See, when you talk about precast,
yes.
To lift the precast material, you require heavy cranes. None of them are made in India. Everything comes from China.
Okay, let me
respond
to that. So, even the gentleman from NIRDPR had also mentioned about our Nirmiti Kendras. In fact, we had a very thriving system of Nirmiti Kendras earlier in the old Indiramma scheme between 2004 to 2014. Later, these Nirmiti Kendras are not fully functional now, but in certain districts, on the directions of the Honorable Minister, we have leased out the lands of the Nirmiti Kendras to private players, incubators like you, who are willing to come forward and establish innovative, construction technologies, right? So some, novel brick making units, low cost brick making units, etc. and, prefabricated slabs for these individual houses. So we are ready to partner with private players, incubators, innovators like you with our Nirmiti Kendras. In fact, our minister was of the opinion that government must not be directly involved in material manufacturing. So we have these Nirmiti Kendras. We are ready to guide you, facilitate you, do the quality controls, etc. And we are ready to partner with private players in this regard, in the construction technology front. And we have already partnered with certain players with respect to our demonstration houses, because Telangana Housing Corporation and the erstwhile AP Housing Corporation has always been a key player in pioneering new technologies and increasing the social acceptance of these technologies among the people, because social acceptance is very important. So we had partnered with certain players in exhibiting this novel technology through our demonstration houses, which we are constructing at each and every Mandal headquarters. And even now, this opportunity is open. So we are keen to partner with any one of you in this regard.
Thank you, Mr. Gautam.
Preetham, I would like to add one
Thank
point.
you.
See, for young innovators, yeah, we have a lot of use cases. Like you want to automate tower cranes, right? So you can maybe reach me out on LinkedIn. We will give you use cases, and we are working with young entrepreneurs even to invest some capital and give business use cases and all of that. So yeah, we need to start working on automations around RMC manufacturing, autonomous tower cranes, because finding workforce for tower cranes is a very big problem. So there are a lot of these problems. Yeah, we would love to partner on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. The Honorable Minister has consented for one more question. One in the back, the person in the white attire, sir. Yes, please.
Thank you, Minister Garu. The session is very nice, beyond my expectation. I had a Nirmita Kendra, it's still working. I think before 2004 I started with the help of the HUDCO. And I manufacture also now. I think as Mr. Revanth Reddy know, I was good in politics for about 25 years. I am now on industry only. We manufacture so many items which is suitable for precast as well as green buildings. I only wish that our minister should take lead in making every house as a green building. It's quite possible and it can be done in economical, and our chairman HUDCO has suggested that because the environment will be better and the power savings will be there for a long, so we must take lead, the government should take lead in building the government offices and government buildings as green buildings, because I have seen few green buildings in Bangalore by many of the leading world organizations, and they are very nice. So we must go for that, because the ambience of the residents should be very good, as well as the schools, hospitals, and all other buildings should be green buildings. We should make it a point of that. And I am really happy to hear that word from the chairman HUDCO. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Thank you. And sir, for the want of time, we'll want to close the session. Please do try and meet the panelists off dais. Yeah.
We welcome the Honorable Minister for Tourism, Shri Jupalli Krishna Rao Garu, to this session. So thanks for participating in this session, sir. We are honored to have you here.
And Mr. Gautam, can you kindly conclude, sir, please?
Yeah. So your suggestion with respect to green technologies is noted. So we'll try to. We are now constructing houses on a massive scale. Lakhs and lakhs of houses. Government is committed to constructing 2 million houses over the next decade. So we'll definitely incorporate a lot of these technologies, especially thermally efficient construction, which will reduce the cooling load in our houses. Yes. So, I'd like to thank all the panelists, all the esteemed panelists on dais, and all the esteemed delegates who have participated very keenly in this panel discussion. So for me personally, it has been a very enriching discussion, and our Honorable Minister was kind enough to grace this occasion and give his valuable time and valuable inputs throughout this 1.5 hour session. So I'm sure under his leadership and under the leadership of our Honorable Chief Minister, Telangana will create a future-ready, scalable and inclusive, affordable and a sustainable housing model as a part of Telangana 2047. And dear friends, this government is very committed to provide affordable houses to all the economically weaker sections. However, no government, however committed, can on its own deliver the scale of affordable housing that we are talking about. As I just said, there is an unmet housing demand of over 29 lakhs. And these are not all economically weaker sections. Even in several houses which we have allotted free of cost, people are investing at least 2 to somewhere at the bare minimum of 2 lakhs to a maximum of 10 lakhs in just getting these houses renovated, because people are ready to invest. They have some purchasing power in hand. However, we need developers and builders who are willing to invest in affordable housing, banks and housing financing companies to support the necessary funding, not only for the developers, but also for the consumers who may not have the necessary eligibility criteria to meet the regular home loans. So we need dovetail products for the same. And we would request the assistance of multilateral institutions like the World Bank, from which Abhijit has joined us. So they can bring in the global best practices and also provide us the much needed capacity building support for government organizations like the Housing Board and the Housing Corporation. And of course, we need civil society organizations and community groups that can articulate the needs of the society from the demand side. What is it that people expect? What is their aspiration? What are their fears? What are their desires? So that is as much important when we talk about this affordable housing. And academia and professionals, Professor Rao is here, Suresh Garu is here, so they can contribute to better design, better technology, better productivity. So today's session is not merely a technical consultation. It's an invitation for partnership. It's an invitation for partnership towards achieving this noble goal of providing affordable housing for all. So our intent is very clear that the recommendations, the deliberations from this session will not merely remain on paper. We are committed to bring this into our affordable housing policy, which is in the making and which will be released very soon, maybe in a time span of 2 to 3 months. So with these words, I once again extend a warm gratitude to all the distinguished panels and participants. Thank you one and all.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gautam. If you guys like the panel, please do give a big round of applause. Thank you, Honorable Minister, sir. Thank you, Special Secretary Housing, and thank you for all the panelists. I enjoyed moderating the panel, and thank you so much for having me here.
Thank you so much, sir, for moderating. And now, hello. Now I request Minister Garu to felicitate our panelists who are on stage. Mr. Vasudevan Suresh Garu, former CMD, HUDCO. So to all our guests, we proudly present the two iconic GI tag treasures of Telangana, the exquisite Pochampalli Ikat shawls, renowned for their intricate tie and dye weaving, embody the timeless skill of our artisans. Complementing them are the vibrant Sherial masks, handicrafted in the traditional storytelling style that carries centuries of Telangana's cultural heritage. Let us celebrate these GI recognized art forms and the master craftsmen who keep our traditions alive. Mr. Abhijit Shankar Ray, Dr. P.S.N. Rao, Dr. P.S.N. Rao. Ladies and gentlemen, we are presenting the two GI tag mementos that you see here. One is the Ikat shawl and the other one is the Cherial mask, known from centuries in Telangana art form. Mr. G. Rami Reddy Garu. Mr. Nandakishore Garu. Mr. Ajitesh Garu. and today's moderator for our session, wonderfully moderated this session, I must say, Mr. Preetham Mehraji. అందరికీ లంచ్ టైం అయింది నాకు తెలుసు, కానీ అయినా ఒక్కసారి చప్పట్లయితే అవసరం అండి. లెట్స్ cheer each other. So ladies and gentlemen, with this we conclude this session of our panel discussion, and thank you to all our dignitaries who are present on stage here. This session definitely enforces that inclusive growth is built brick by brick, and every citizen should and must have an access for safe and dignified housing. Thank you one and all for joining us on stage. Thank you one and all for joining us on stage. Now we take a short break here, a lunch break. And exactly 1 hour later, we assemble back again here in Hall 1 for our next panel discussion. The theme being the Bharat Future City as a magnet for 3 trillion Telangana. So let's all join back again after exactly 1 hour. But before that, we have a special video which is going to be played for you that's called Indramma Illu. So can we have the AV please?
For the first time in Telangana's history, a housing mission has emerged not just to construct homes, but to build dignity, stability and hope. Welcome to the Indirama Housing Scheme, a transformative initiative designed to empower women and provide families with a true sense of ownership. This isn't just another housing project. This is Telangana's most ambitious flagship mission, personally guided by Honorable Chief Minister A. Revanth Reddy.
పేదవాడికి సొంతింటి కల నెరవేరడానికి ఇందిరమ్మ ఇండ్లు ప్రతి నియోజకవర్గంలో ఆల్రెడీ మంజూరు చేసినాం.
Making housing a right, not a privilege. Across the state, a monumental 3,38,681 homes have been sanctioned. Each assembly constituency receives 3,500 houses, ensuring no region is left behind. Every eligible woman-headed household receives 5 lakh rupees as a 100% subsidy. No loans, no interest. Just a clear pathway to a secure life. Already, the Telangana government has disbursed over 3,142.15 crore and in addition 237 crore in self-help group supported loans have been granted to nearly 22,000 women. This is financial empowerment at scale for the people who've waited the longest. So what makes Indirama different? Everything. This is a housing model reimagined through governance and innovation. From the very moment an application is submitted, AI steps in, verifying details with unmatched precision. No errors, no bias, only deserving families. Every approved house is geotagged, visible on a real-time digital map, enabling the government to track the construction phase. Basement, walling, slab, completion. With 360-degree monitoring and stage-by-stage visual proof, there's no room for manipulation or delay. And for the first time in India, beneficiaries themselves upload progress photos through a mobile app. Every update is documented, tamper-proof and fully traceable, ushering in a new era of digital transparency. The Indirama housing scheme is not just homes, it's a new way to build India. Telangana has introduced shear wall technology, the same advanced construction method used in luxury towers, now made accessible to low-income families. To ensure excellence, all masons and site teams are trained through NAC certified programs. About another mandal, a model house was constructed, a walk-in experience for families to see. Room layout, interior design, electrical and plumbing placement, ventilation, light flow rent and structural strength. Transparency, trust and quality delivered even before the first brick is laid. More than a housing scheme, it is India's first complete tech-enabled, women-led, corruption-proof housing ecosystem. AI-powered verification, geo-tagged construction sites, real-time progress tracking, weekly DBT transfers, workforce trained to national standards, future-ready shear wall structures. This is not just a promise, this is a benchmark for the future. This is Indirama, a mission like no other, a transformation that starts at home and builds the future of Telangana.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us in this panel session. We'll take a short break. We should be back here another 20 minutes, and I'm asked to do that. So by 2:15, we shall gather here, assemble here for our next session. Well, many of you all must be having VIP coupons. Then you can access the VIP lounge for the lunch break, and people who have delegate coupons can access the delegate lounge. So see you all after a short break. Thank you.
in making relevant material for the summit. We also thanks the media partner, logistics team, and all service provided for verifying the reach and ensuring seamless arrangements. As we conclude, we are confident that the knowledge shared, network built, and ideas exchanged over this session will translate into meaningful action and future collaboration. Once again, thank
And we cannot have inequity prevailing in pockets. So if you have to have an inclusive growth, which is the vision of Telangana 2047, I think we need to have transport acting like a catalyst to promote that growth. Some of the quickly, I'll run through few points which came out at Hyderabad level, the city level, is local area plan should be prepared by HMDA. Pedestrian safety should be accorded. I am slightly at the absence of footpaths in the city. It's a beautiful city. It's a beautiful city, but I think we need to kind of do a rigorous exercise on how we can create footpaths, maybe even the cost of vehicles. We need to have safe mobility for pedestrians. I think that's very important. The flyovers and elevated roads should be implemented. The metro needs expansion on a continuous basis in a big way, and I think the government of India would be very more than forthcoming to support the government of Telangana on that. MMTS, ROBs, RUBs require a lot of attention to be developed. I'm sure Dr. Raju in his presentation already has touched upon. The road sector policy also has brought out what are the future development programs. So all in all, it's a wholesome package. I'm very excited actually to learn about such huge projects. Probably the government of officials here have carved out also have exclusive bus lane projects. I think one of the other things I would like to point to the dignitary present here, I find the public transport is, especially in Hyderabad, is quite low. The ridership is just about 28%. We should expect a ridership target of at least 40 to 50%. And it is quite visible. Yesterday when I was traveling 2 days, I didn't find too many buses on the road. Even the buses which were there were not probably fully loaded. So there is something I think we need to, it's my request to the officials here that if one were to decongest Hyderabad, you need to kind of get into encouraging. There are two measures of, we call it travel demand management. Either you push people towards public transport, and if they're not willing to be pushed, then you pull. And if they're not pulling, getting pulled, you push them towards disincentives. You start getting into charging, congestion charging. I think we will soon see, I see for Delhi, next 2 years we'll have congestion charging coming up. I think Hyderabad will have to resort to pilot studies on congestion charging. You have to start getting into carpooling as an exercise. Piloting will have to be done. And the third is flexi work schedule. Maybe some pilot can be done on flexi work schedule, how you can stagger your peak hours on the corridor. I think these three things, probably some piloting can be done. It would do a great service. It's such a beautiful city, but often I find you get locked up. When you come from the PV Narasimha Rao flyover to the city, you start getting into the, because of the inherent build-up which is around the area. So we need to kind of emphasize on that. At the state level, I think dedicated state road fund like CR could be explored. You've got a massive upgradation program. It's a beautiful way of kind of developing the whole state into pure and rare kind of terminology. Each area having its own distinct character, and how each area still would be connected by the transport proposals which you have put up. But what we need is safety. I think what we all often find in all these videos are high spanking roads, but often we find that most of these roads also are classical case, Delhi-Mumbai Expressway. Just last week, a couple were lying unrescued for 7 hours in a car crash, and they passed away. So I think this is just, I'm not being despondent on this occasion, but I think it's all nice to have good network, but I think safety has to be inbuilt, and I think how we can have ITS incorporated into the safety, the network, I think it's very important. I would call it safety and smart mobility, both. That should be the paradigm for network planning for Telangana. Road safety audits need to be taken up, I just mentioned. Regional ring road is a beautiful concept. You have ORR, which is a fabulous network which we all rode on to the venue. I think regional ring road, again, I am assuming it's going to be as fabulous as OR. But I think we need to kind of ensure, my simple philosophy is that if I'm coming from a region and approaching a core area, I need to have speed zoning very clear. I should know that I am coming into a congested area. The vehicles need to speed down. The vehicle need to slow down. And I think that is where the ITS through enforcement can come in. We need to start calming traffic as you keep coming towards the core area, because I think the pedestrian safety has to be paramount in the built-up area. I think that is the essence which it can create. Ring road should be implemented priority. ITS project, my colleague panelists have re-emphasized very interestingly. I'm sure some pilots would come. What you have shown here, connectivity, the Hyderabad core has been taken up. Inter-district connectivity should be accorded high preference. All national highways should be upgraded to 6-lane, partially access controlled highways. I'm sure they are finding their voice in the road sector policy document which was unveiled by the Honorable Minister here. So I'm also a logistics person. I've been teaching logistics for the last 30 years. I think while we do recognize passenger mobility is important, it's equally important to have freight logistics in place. And I think this is a concept of city logistics which you need to adopt for urban area, for Hyderabad. You have fantastic e-commerce demand. We don't plan for e-commerce sector. We don't plan for quick commerce. Same problem is happening in Delhi. So we need to kind of become proactive, start looking into where we need to plan the dark warehouses, where fulfillment centers will come, where micro delivery hubs will come, what kind of management strategies for urban freight will have to come in the cities. I think that probably is an aspect which probably could have been more highlighted. As far as urban mobility, already Dr. Raju has presented, we need to kind of scale it up. Metro expansion plans are on. Public transport, bus-based will have to be there. And I think long-term BRTs and other proposals in any way are finding their footprint into it. So all in all, I think I'm extremely happy and excited to come here. I would once again would like to, because of paucity of time and lunch, I'm just trying to rush up to kind of conclude with the parting comments. I thank you again. It's a beautiful vision document. All the efforts are excellent. And I think now probably is the time to implement those projects. So I'm sure detailing will happen with due diligence. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. Hello. Hello, check. Hello. Hello, check. Thank you so much, sir. May I now request Shri Revanth Reddy Garu, Minister Garu, to present the felicitation mementos to our speakers. The artwork is a special mask from Cheriala, and the Pochampalli shawls are being presented as the mementos with the GI mark on it, the geographical indicator. Memento of appreciation from our Minister Shri Revanth Reddy Garu to all our speakers for having conducted this wonderful session. As a part of this Telangana Rising Global Summit, these mementos have been specially curated for this occasion by the art forms of Telangana. The Cheriala face mask, the artwork, along with the very famous Pochampalli shawls. Felicitations to our speakers by Honorable Minister of R&B, Cinematography, Government of Telangana, Shri Revanth Reddy Garu is being presented by the memento and the shalwa. May I now request Mr. J. Mohan Naik, ENC R&B Department, Government of Telangana, to render the vote of thanks.
Honorable Minister Garu, Komatreddy Venkatreddy Garu, Special Chief Secretary Vikas Raj Garu, Sarfaraz Garu, Metropolitan Commissioner, distinguished speakers, delegates, representative and industry from industries, ladies and gentlemen. As we come to close this enriching and thought-provoking event, it is my proud privilege to propose the vote of thanks at the conclusion of this highly successful global summit event on connected Telangana integrated transport and urban-rural connectivity. At the outset, on behalf of the Telangana government and R&B department, I extend our deepest and most respectful gratitude to the Honorable Chief Minister Sri Revanth Reddy Garu for his exemplary vision in leading the state towards sustained prosperity and long-term well-being of Telangana and its people for decades to come. We are deeply honored by the gracious presence of our Honorable Minister for his valuable presence and clear guidance, direction and inspiration. As you all know, we have several legacy issues and hence we are hard pressed to deal with issues of major concern. For the first time, with the guidance of Sri Vikas Raj, Special Chief Secretary, under the leadership of Honorable Minister Komatreddy Venkatreddy, the R&B department has formulated a policy aligned with Honorable Chief Minister's Sri Revanth Reddy's vision for planned and systematic road development, advancing the Telangana Rising Vision 2047. We are conscious that this is only the beginning. We place on record our deepest gratitude to Sri Vikas Raj, Special Chief Secretary, whose personal presence, close monitoring and hands-on guidance at every stage of the event were instrumental in ensuring its flawless execution and grand success. I express my sincere thanks to Sri Sarfaraj, Metropolitan Commissioner HMDA, for his constant guidance and supervision in making this program success. We are deeply grateful to all our eminent speakers, panelists and session chair for sharing their insightful prospective technical expertise and practical experience. Your contribution have truly elevated the quality of discussion and enriched the learning experience for every participant. I thank all the officers, engineers and staff of R&B department for preparing the road sector policy, for work tirelessly for the last 15 days, day and night, with unwavering commitment and team spirit to ensure the flawless execution and grand success. Our sincere thanks to all the delegates and participants who joined us from various parts of the country and beyond. Your enthusiastic participation, engaging questions and active interaction made this summit truly dynamic and meaningful. I thank consultant Lee Associates, South Asia Private Limited for their timely support in preparing this document and arranging technical supports in making relevant material for the summit. We also thank the media partner, logistics team and all service provided for their valuable support in amplifying the reach and ensuring seamless arrangements. As we conclude, we are confident that the knowledge shared, network built and ideas exchanged over this session will translate into meaningful action and future collaboration. Once again, thank you all for being a part of this Telangana Rising Global Summit. We wish you safe travel, continued learning and great success in all your endeavors. Thank you one and all. Jai Hind, Jai Telangana. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mohan Garu. May I request the members, the delegates of the next session, the official members from Speed to please come towards the dais.
के या एक मिनट रुको हाफ एन आवर ब्रेक 5 मिनट ठीक है सर एक बार इनको बता दो क्या
As part of our ongoing efforts to spread the IT to the Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities, we have already constructed few IT towers in almost 9 other districts as well. And in fact, I'm proud to say districts like Nizamabad has full occupancy of the IT towers. We do give some to the local startups, and of course, till the new startups are there, we are utilizing it for other services as well. Apart from that, as Trivedi sir has already told, we have been giving differential incentives. If the industry wants to locate the industry out of the RRR region, we are giving extra incentives to them, whether it is capital subsidies, whether it is SGST incentives. We are more welcome in that way because the world has grown that way. We don't need to have to reinvent the wheel with respect to that. The pharmaceutical sector growing in Solan, in Himachal, or in Uttarakhand is all because of the tax incentives, and the growth of industries in the SEZs is also because of the incentives. So we also have to, as our Honorable Minister has said, we are following the Guangdong model. If we want to go for the larger scale, equal development across the state, we need to push and also give some advantages to the industry there. Of course, they have certain struggles with respect to manpower availability and, of course, availability of talent and certain infrastructure, but we are more than willing to set up such world-class infrastructure, industrial parks there. Of course, IT towers are part of that effort. We had a dream of creating quality infrastructure in the district headquarters. With that aim, IT towers have been built, and now the current government is also developing a few more IT towers in other districts as well. So as I told you, incentives, of course, our greater infrastructure, reliable power, water, all that, and of course, talent. We have been continuously investing on education and developing the best talent pool. So not just in Hyderabad, we have talent pool in other districts and the Tier 2 cities as well. So with that all, we would like to develop the state as well. Yeah, that is ours.
Yeah, sure. Abhishek, come in on that. And
yeah. So, sir, while you're talking about industrial parks going to territorial regions, something that comes to my mind. For an employment generation, right? Industrial parks is something that governments will always take an initiative. If a new dimension like plug-and-play parks, which is not kind of common phenomenon in India, but maybe through a public-private partnership could be developed, because the plug-and-play parks globally gives you a saving of 25% on OPEX, 75% on your CAPEX, and that's a huge attraction on top of the incentives and other benefits that you're willing to offer to the occupiers. Then probably, I think once this is done, you don't need to push, people will automatically get attracted over there. And as it is, the vision is very clear to have the entire ecosystem with respect to healthcare, hospitality, schools, etc. Employment opportunities as soon as it reaches. I think the areas will flourish and we'll see the
vision and contribute
vision over here. It helps the long-term vision of retail.
Telangana Right Vision 2047.
These are the other word or the government word of plug-and-play infrastructure. We have already developed in 6 districts such a
Thank you, Honorable Minister, sir. With launch of this R&BD's Reach Out, the way things are seen for the future. Now we have this wonderful beginning of today's session, brainstorming with opening address by MC sir and inaugural presentation by Special Chief Secretary sir.
So for that, the flatted factory
now this is time to call upon Honorable Minister sir to grace the occasion with his keynote address. Honorable Minister sir, please.
And we are planning to set up more such flatted factory complexes in other districts as well. In fact, in our MSME policy that we launched last year, we have set our ambitious
target of having such flatted factory complexes across all 33 districts. So we are working towards it, and I'm happy
Namaste,
that
తెలియజేసుకుంటూ
I could answer that right away.
Good afternoon to you all.
We're glad to hear you have these policies in place. Of course, we'll hope to see
dignitaries,
more on the execution front.
industry
and
leaders,
some of these
innovators,
efforts that the government is trying to make. But
my officers,
Mr. Murali, back
Special
to
Chief
the
Secretary,
regulatory
Vikas
environment,
Raj
and,
garu,
let me get you to
HMD
answer
Commissioner,
more critically as well, so that
Sarfraz Ahmed garu,
some constructive feedback comes
and
out of here.
dignitaries
When
on
it
the
comes
dais,
to large-scale investments, whether that be in energy,
and all my
manufacturing,
guests.
other industries, what do you
Telangana
There's still some
is not just
you
growing.
believe Telangana sees
Telangana
compared to some of
is
the other states
rising.
and, the ease of doing business there.
I am honored to stand before you today at the Telangana Rising Summit, a platform that celebrates our state's determination, its progress and its future.
And I think one welcoming step
Roads form the backbone of any progressive economy, and as we take
address most of the issues.
giant leap to make Telangana 1 trillion economy,
On energy front,
Telangana, my department is committed to connect all the mandal headquarters to with a double lane road to the district headquarters, from there to state capital Hyderabad.
which means
You might ask, how is that relevant to Telangana growth story?
states policies.
Well, it is good.
Central government policies, be it the Ministry of Power or
Connectivity ensures arrival of industries in rural area, acting as pull factor,
both these ministries
as a push factor. Rural labor and manforce gets access to a origin of employment, more disposable income, leading to more revenue.
these kind of a policies. And
Build infrastructure, build confidence is our motto. Our government, under the able leadership of energetic and visionary Chief Minister Sri Revanth Reddy garu, is committed to providing safe environment for investors and employees alike. Hyderabad's radial connectivity is being boosted like never before. NS65 connecting two Telugu state capitals, Hyderabad and Vijayawada,
facilitates or
is now being transformed into 8 lanes.
So I think
Marvel
the
discongesting
state's persuasion with the center,
passenger as well as logistic traffic.
getting this
That work is starting
infrastructure back
by
to the CTOL
before
So I think
March ending.
and
6 lane plus 2 service loan existing
activity in and around Telangana.
highway. There is a whole 2 lane, 4 lane road.
Power consuming center.
I am also
But I think
I am happy to state that Telangana is turning a landlocked state into the economic powerhouse by establishing a state-of-the-art dry port transformative facility.
renewable energy players into
This session focuses on connectivity requirement towards accessibility and mobility to Hyderabad
industry perspective.
and transforming Telangana state into the economic hub of South India. That is the ensuring smooth connectivity with the rest of the country and the world.
Element of regulation
Regional ring road with a radial roads connectivity is going to boost.
I think Telangana has been by and large the best state in terms of the policies that are already in place, and I think the TS IPAS, which had been improved over a period of time. For example, I'll set a very small example of getting a Panchayat NOC. Now, Panchayat NOC is a very localized issue, okay? The guys on the local area do not understand the prominence and the importance of that industry, okay? So, this was a pain point we took to the government, and they have very welcomely removed actually this NOC. So, it's actually deemed NOC, and a lot of land and land conversion activities, which was a very critical aspect from the lender's perspective. So, they have also addressed most of these lenders' perspective. And I think while I have told some negatives about energy, but when the clean energy policy was put in place, one welcoming step that I had seen was they had a round table of all the industry leaders to understand what has to be a better policy. Okay, I understand, having experience of so many decades, all policies will not address each and every issue, but I think as we start implementing policies, what we could find was there was a lot of, ability to actually address those issues and resolve those issues in the subsequent amendments. I think that's all about the...
It's a lot of excellent points and a lot to think about. But Mr. Trivedi quickly wanted to add a point.
Yes. Continuing on energy, since Mr. Bhavesh Mishra and Nikhil Chakravarti from the government are also here. See, Telangana has always had a very proactive and a very nimble policy in every aspect. Now, in terms of energy, I just wish to, this is just a suggestion from my side, that a day will come when any amount of energy that we produce will not be enough to sustain the kind of development that we are seeking. Now, $3 trillion economy requires tremendous amount of power. So my request and suggestion is that the government should start looking at the small modular reactors and micro modular reactors for standalone captive power generation for large scale enterprises. Thank you.
All right. Abhishek, would you want to add more on the reforms that can make industrial project planning, the kind of issues we were talking about here, more predictable, faster?
So when you talk about industrial, your mapping your supply chain becomes the backbone, and for that, and probably industrial happens outside your city, which is your territorial regions and within the state. The prime factor is connectivity. Today, by default, when we say that two cities, cities have to be connected, we only talk about road infrastructure. But then globally, yes, there are alternate routes, alternate ways, which are much more cheaper. So that kind of reform should always be thought about. And because, having an alternate connecting path, which is for the freight, for the goods to be, carried forward, that's number one. Number two is what I personally believe. We all go with the standard definition of an MSME, which is defined as per the financial turnover or the scale of the investments that you talk about. Now, say for example, you talk about a 10 crore investment. So 10 crore investment in a steel sector is kind of nothing. In the garment sector, it's still substantial. In a pharma sector, it's good to start up. So I think that definition somewhere, if we are going focus, sector-wise, that definition somewhere needs to be looked at, or maybe a new terminology needs to be arrived at, because somebody who's small in that scale, say for example steel industry, you don't set up a project less than 100 crores. For some of the sectors, it's already a large scale investment. So you can't have the same lens that you look at that particular person with a 100 crore investment in the steel sector versus doing 100 crores. Say for example, Mr. Trivedi, his business, 100 crore investment goes like this in the data center world. It's like that. So probably for him, 100 crore is a very small scale person in the data center world versus 100 crore in the garment sector is kind of big scale. So somewhere that definition needs to be, kind of re-looked at and given hand-holding to the person in that particular category, who are small scale starting up, because they have to be big tomorrow. A standard definition kind of, just bases the investment and the financial scale doesn't matter. So these 2 points, that strikes me as a reforms.
Professor Tantri, let me slightly diversify from the large-scale industries we've been speaking about, because MSME is also a critical backbone for the growth of any country, any state, especially so for Telangana, that's looking to diversify from services alone. How can some of the policies ensure that there is a more balanced growth, and when you're looking to dole out incentives as well, how do you balance them between the large industries on one hand, the young startups, MSMEs on the other, to ensure that it's not a lopsided growth that gets us to the 3 trillion mark?
So exactly the point I was thinking, you asked me the question I was thinking about. So most of these ease of doing business, and my request to policymakers also, is usually discussion happens with the incumbent businesses. The true ease of doing business is when you facilitate creative destruction. A PhD student sitting in Hyderabad Central University having an idea, can he beat these people sitting here? That's the question. That is where the true ease of business. I'm not saying, everybody should be beaten or anything. Creative destruction is where you have growth. The policy, what happens a lot of times is that we focus so much on giving some land, some subsidy, something to incumbent. What we don't realize, every time we help an incumbent, you're making the life of that newcomer so much more difficult, and you're costing us, because the problem is the counterfactual. What would happen if a newcomer had come and challenged these guys and done something is never visible when you keep subsidizing. So when we do that, we have to subsidize for critical areas. We should keep in mind that the spirit of creative destruction is super, super important. For instance, and I'm so happy I worked with, my view of bureaucracy and politicians also has changed, because people are open-minded. Because one of the suggestions we made was, why is a random PhD student, not a random, good PhD student in Stanford and build a billion-dollar company, and why doesn't happen in India? One of the things that you have, ease of doing business. For example, MIT has something called as an engine. Now, one way of startup is you have this fancy, it's all important, it's required. What they do is, they have this, there are these equipments which require huge investments. And you have a very good idea as a small guy, you want to test this. You can't afford to buy this equipment and it will cost you billions of dollars. Engine, what it does, it allows you to rent these things, very expensive equipment at a very cheap rate, so that you can test your ideas, develop products, and start competing. I think beyond subsidies and this, my urge to policymakers to think about those who are not at the table right now. They are equally important. In fact, growth is going to come from there. World over, growth has come from there. So I think along with those who are right now making life easy to those who are operating right now, equally important space should be given those who don't have a voice, who are not there yet.
Chaitanya, I wonder, as the spokesperson for the younger companies, you'd like to add on, what more you'd like to see as perhaps some of the people that may not have a seat at the table, as Professor Tantri said it.
So the question is, what more? Okay. So obviously, one, continue doing what government is already doing. Like I said, investment infrastructure is very, very critical. So these are, these pockets, right? I mean, probably high-tech city, or, maybe there is a pocket of data centers or medical devices. So what is important is, the investment on the infrastructure, it should continue. So that is when people like to come and work. So the first important thing is, availability of a quality human capital, and that happens only organically. And these are very, very highly correlated, great infrastructure and availability of the human capital. So for example, water clogging on a heavy rainy day, stopping companies working, it is not acceptable. I'm not referring to any particular city or area. So a trivial thing, but these things should be sorted out. And second, primarily, I can talk on behalf of technology companies. So the most important commodity is going to be the availability of the compute. So be it AI compute or a data center, normal application compute, etc. That is one of the most important raw material that we take, apart from human capital. So now I see a lot of data center investment is coming up in Telangana. So if some of it is made available to technology companies, so probably at a subsidized price, or maybe to help us do a good amount of R&D, because AI compute is quite expensive. So that would be quite useful.
Yeah, but specifically in the area of R&D, in artificial intelligence and the promotion of these technologies and easier adoption, is there one thing, if you were to put on the table that could significantly move the needle in terms of ease of doing business, what would you say that is?
So that is, availability of the compute. So today, you fight for AI resources. So the irony is there is not enough compute available to meet up the demand. So if there is a good amount of compute that is available for the startups or for the companies to accelerating R&D, so that would be quite useful.
All right, we're running out of time, so I quickly want to do like a rapid fire sort of a round with everyone. Mr. Murli, I'll start with you on infrastructure bottleneck. If fixed, let's say tomorrow, hypothetically, will accelerate the industrial growth, including the energy sector's growth in the state of Telangana.
Can I
One infrastructure bottleneck, if it were to be magically fixed tomorrow, you think is going to accelerate the growth of the industry in the region?
I think Chaitanya spoke about the congestion, and I think Chaitanya spoke about from ease of doing business, we also have to ease the traffic. I think that's very critical. That's very critical, and I think when compared to rest of the cities, I don't want to name the cities, but Hyderabad is still better off.
Okay, Nikhil, we hear plenty about what the government needs to do, what the incentives are, what are the policies that are needed. What would you like to see from the industry? Yeah, they're asking a lot of you. What do you want to see from them?
To be blunt, I don't want the industry to start incentive hopping across the states. If they feel that this state
Don't go to the neighbors.
Yes, of course. Now in view of the competitiveness between the states, there has been lot of incentive shopping. That's also a new word that we learned recently. So I don't mean to demean everyone. Of course, all the industries are very professional in their approach, what they want, what they need. Because of the competitive atmosphere, if the state is not competitive enough, if we don't provide enough power at reasonable cost, enough infrastructure, proper logistics, and proper water, obviously the costs increase. Obviously, there's no. I cannot criticize them for asking more incentives, because of all the time, all they're finally is asking is to make my industry more competitive.
Yeah.
I need this. So, but I always insist industries, if you feel that this is the right place, as Mr. Bhutani has already said, we are closer to both coasts. You can leverage both coasts here. We are hardly 50-60 kilometers away from my east coast, hardly a district. So you utilize these opportunities, utilize this favorable atmosphere, entire policy stability and infrastructure, talent mobility, and also best quality of living. So don't see the other side, be little reasonable. We are happy to facilitate it in all other aspects.
Well, that's an excellent point.
Yes.
Don't go incentive shopping when we're trying to do our best. But Abhishek, a lot has been said about how Hyderabad remains so attractive. If you were to pick one city outside of Hyderabad that has the most untapped potential for industrial or official development, what would you say that city is?
Tough to say right now, because aspirationally there could be many, but then it depends that, where's the infrastructure going to. And the development over there, the basic infrastructure and probably some of the ideas of like, plug and play parks and all, the industry will follow that. And it could be any destination depending upon
You're not
where.
going to name it.
No, tough to say, because, I mean, if I can name, probably the infrastructure is not going. So depending upon the aspirations on their side, where we want to take it. But I can say that yes, today the manufacturing sector is open to going to exploring new areas, and that has been a phenomena everywhere, and they are looking more positively. And Nikhil, to assure you that the kind of clients that we are interacting, the next decade is not going to be about incentive negotiation. It is going to be about reliability. It is going to be about test of an ecosystem which can provide a long-term sustainable stuff. So that's coming your way. I think you are addressing my concerns. I'm addressing kind of you. But then yes, answering you, I mean, I don't pick up any spot, but then I think wherever the infrastructure goes, the development will follow, because the sector is not averse to any particular location. It's not like that.
Oh, I was asking where infrastructure already is. Perhaps investors are overlooking, but Mr. Trivedi, top priority in the data and tech infrastructure space to attract more global investors here.
I think availability of subsidized land and power. That's all that is required for data center industry. But adding to what Professor Tantri was saying, see, we in the large enterprise space, we attract all the lights, all the glamour, all the big ticket incentives that the government gives. But for us to be a $3 trillion economy, we can't have, say, 10 lakh people or maybe 1 crore of people in Hyderabad marching ahead and 5 crore people in the rest of the state lagging behind. That kind of inequality is not that what we should be aiming for. Opening a restaurant is entrepreneurship. Opening a beauty parlor is entrepreneurship. Opening a dairy is entrepreneurship. I mean, they also should be equally supported by all kinds of incentives. That is what I would like to say. Though I get a lot of incentives from the government. Thank you.
All right. Professor Tantri, one key talent or skill challenge that perhaps the state is overlooking?
I think high-end innovation. We are still, for the country, forget about the state. We are still thinking in terms of subsidizing production because as Sir just now mentioned, beauty parlors and all that, we have to understand Your non-tradable sector starts earning a lot only when you become very competitive in the tradable sector. If you remain at the low end of the tradable sector, your beautician, your dentist, and your, we claim PPP as a success. PPP, high exchange rate is a mark of failure. The reason why you have a low PPP exchange rate, because you're in a competitive sector, you're not competitive. As your competitive sector becomes, where you go up the chain, rest of them will earn more. So we have to go up the ladder in everything. The point about 7%, 40%. So that requires high-end innovation. My suggestion and the policy suggestion is to prevent this hopping. Make sure that you have the best people here. Then the capital has to flow. You have to go to Silicon Valley. You don't have a choice. There is no need to give subsidy. Make this a place, attract the best people on earth, get the best scientists, best innovators here. Capital will come. It doesn't have any choice, because once you create this agglomeration effect, there is no other choice for capital than to flow. I think we have focused too much on capital and less on talent. I think we have to reverse it.
All right, excellent point there. Chaitanya, you have the last word. Among startups, is there a tech segment you believe with Telangana's current capabilities the state could globally lead in, say 5-10 years down the line?
Okay, that's an interesting question. So Hyderabad always produced world-class IT services companies. They're very, very large IT services companies, and now GCCs are also coming up a lot. But where the real opportunity is creating large-scale product companies, technology product companies, be it AI product companies or SaaS product companies, software as a service product companies. So in terms of sheer value addition, their value addition would be very, very disproportionate. So the market cap or the revenue you produce, because end of the day you are betting on R&D and IP production, not just what I would say people as the commodity or a body shopping sort of work. So I think there is a huge opportunity because of the sort of quality talent that is available and that is willing to migrate to the city to produce a great IP and build very large product companies here.
Hopefully we see large product companies coming out of Telangana. On that note, gentlemen, thank you all for candidly sharing your thoughts, and I hope there was lots to take away for the audience, for the state government to continue improving the ease of doing business in the state, and thank you all for being a wonderful audience. Thanks so much.
Yes, so ladies and gentlemen, indeed, Telangana's rise as a business-friendly state has been driven by reforms, responsiveness, and a deep commitment to enabling enterprise. And we've heard all our leaders here on stage. Yes, the conversation has been very interesting from the leaders from global capability centers, financial institutions, technology firms, investment bodies. Their perspective have indeed defined what ease of doing business 2.0 must look like. I now request, yes, Mr. Nikhil Chakravarti to kindly please IA&S to please do the honors in presenting mementos to all our panelists here. Ladies and gentlemen, Commissioner, Industries and Commerce Department, Government of Telangana, Mr. Group picture along with Mr. Nikhil Chakravarti.
My industries officials, we are all taking a small group pic. Please allow us to take a small group pic. Thanks.